Shortly after Vegeta's Uber arrives, Roshi and the rest of the crew show up. With how quick these fellas came after Vegeta left, a part of me feels like they were just chilling behind a nearby rock watching these fellas get put on a milk carton, but I digress. The crew hops out of Bulma's Tesla and scatter to check on the remaining crew. Roshi and Bulma check on Goku while the man's wife hops over his damn near lifeless corpse over to her son. Now back in the day watching this, I always used to look at Chi-Chi and think, damn, what a jerk for real. But as I've gotten older, I've really come to understand that a parent does not play about their child, and if they think that baby's hurt, everything and everyone else is taking a back seat. Craziest part to me though is Bulma's reaction. Krillin breaks the news to her about Yamcha getting bodied and she's in shock for a moment. Then all the memories she had of the homie starts flooding in and she has a breakdown. Now the breakdown itself makes perfect sense. Her on again off again boyfriend just bit the dust, and with Piccolo going, it really seems like there's no way at this point to get him back. But then Bulma starts going off on everybody, telling Krillin that he's bitch made for not stopping the aliens sooner, telling Yajirobe basically the same, but adding that it should have been him sitting in King Yama's lobby rather than Yamcha. That blew me away with how out of pocket it was, I'm not gonna hold you. Man was out here risking life and limb on the front lines fighting aliens infinitely more powerful than any creatures they've ever come across, and you got the nerve to tell Buddy he's soft and he should be gone because you don't like him as much as Yamcha's sorry ass? I know Bulma was grieving, but she was wrong for that, and if Yajirobe popped off, I wouldn't even have been mad at him for real. Just when everything seems lost, Krillin begins thinking back on something he remembers Vegeta saying. Something about leaving the Earth Dragon Balls behind and just going to find a group he called the Namekians, since they were the ones responsible for the Dragon Balls. Yajirobe tells Krillin he's smoking rocks if he thinks there's a snowball's chance that they can do anything about what happened, but Roshi tells Buddy to shut his pie hole up and the ball man may be onto something. Then we go back as they retcon Kami's origin story, informing us that rather than being an otherworldly divine or demonic entity, he was actually an alien who forgot his own origins because his people sent him to the planet so long ago. The crew begins to gain some hope that the Namekian Dragon Balls could be their answer to fix everything that went wrong. Krillin then reveals that he hit a lick off Vegeta and stole the communicator he had, potentially allowing them to take Nappa's ship, since if they were attempting to travel with standard Earth technology, that ish would take over 4,000 some years. Eventually the squad makes it to the hospital, and I gotta tell y'all, low-key the best part was Krillin, because they were in the hospital room. This man was roasting the absolute life out of Yajirobe. Man was sticking his gut out, blowing his cheeks up, pause, and doing a crazy impersonation of how dude was scurrying away from Vegeta while they were in the trenches. Honestly, Yajirobe should have had Krillin square up after how he was doing them. It was really that bad. Bulma takes the communicator from Krillin so they can get Nappa's ship and begin plans for the trip, but she unknowingly blows the thing up and everybody just sitting there in the room looking at her crazy, exactly like they should have been if we're keeping it a buck. Right before the whole squad performs an all-out attack like out of Persona on Bulma, we get Mr. Popo jump scare out of nowhere. Y'all, I almost left this part of the video out, because you know that I have at least 2,000 things I could potentially say about this racist ass character that's sitting on my chest for years. The sake of brevity though, all I'm gonna say is that Akira Toriyama is bugging, and I hope that man has found God. I'll tell you right now, there was nothing good cooking up in the room where Mr. Popo was made. Mr. Popo informs the squad that he knows that they're in need of a ship and tells them that he might be able to help, getting them up to speed on how he knows the location where the ship Kami came to Earth on is, and if they're serious about it, they may be able to get it up and running so they can get busy to Namek. Chi-Chi hears that they're trying to take her son on an alien planet to fight for his life again, and she is having none of it. She shuts down any and all talk of Gohan going on this trip to Namek until Gohan reaches a breaking point and tells her to shut her mouth and let him cook. Gohan explained how there's a real threat to the world now, and that he literally just watched a number of people he cares about die in front of him, so there's no time for childish kid stuff when stuff like this is happening. All the people around Gohan look at Buddy and are proud of him for how mature he is, but this junk really made me sad for real. Bro is so young and is being forced to throw his childhood away and become a warrior, not because he even had time to decide that's what he wants to be, but because the situation is forcing him and he low-key feels obligated to do it because everyone has sacrificed for him. Gohan is a lot more tragic and complicated of a character than I think he gets credit for sometimes. There's so much more going on with little dude than just being the second coming of Goku. With the crew of Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma acting as the pilot being decided on, Bulma reveals that she's deeply racist, damn near refusing to go on the mission after it's revealed that she'll have to go ride with Mr. Popo on his godforsaken magic carpet to get to King Kai's ship. And while a part of me definitely wants to continue giving Bulma the side eye, I would be absolutely capping if I didn't say Mr. Popo gives off some weird vibes. Why does the only consistent black representation on the show have to be this man, bruh? I promise you you. With all the black folks I know that mess with Dragon Ball heavy, I feel like Akira owes us reparations or something after creating Mr. Popo. But eventually, Bulma works up the nerve and follows Mr. Popo to Kami's ship. Mr. Popo reveals that he knows a bit of Namekian language from picking up on the context of things that Kami would say when it would slip out on the lookout. Popo is able to teach Bulma enough Namekian to get them on the ship so they can start the journey. Before we talk about the arrival of Namek, I gotta talk about their fits real quick. Now, Bulma's a queen and she's always been dressing low-key, so that's nothing new. But we gotta talk about how absolutely dripped out Krillin was getting on this spaceship. I don't feel it gets talked about a lot, but Toriyama was mad fashionable. Some of the fits he had on his characters throughout the series, as well as the promotional art, goes absolutely crazy. And Krillin is no exception in this case. But next to him, we got Gohan wearing this crazy-ass schoolboy outfit, and Krillin starts cooking this man up after eyeballing what he had on. The part really had me dying, though, is that Gohan's comment that Goku was in the hospital roasting him too after seeing what he had on. The idea of Goku cooking up his son for dressing like a goober is grade A comedy to me, man. I don't know what makes me laugh about that so hard. But with their fits adjusted, the crew heads into space. The filler episodes during this time are absolutely wild. The fellas are out here mental image training, having space battles, and getting stuck on this planet and almost killed by two absolute jobbers. Dragon Ball filler episodes are a breed of their own, and it might actually be fun one day for us to just sit there and talk about that by itself. But moving along with manga canon, after a month of space travel, the homies arrive on Namek. Krillin and Gohan just hop right off the ship before Bulma can even check to see if the place is habitable. I promise y'all, these two are absolute buffoons. How crazy would it have been if Toriyama just decided to put them on Namek and then have Krillin and Gohan suffocate to death on the ship stairs because they were hasty and got no common sense? They lucked out though, because the atmosphere on Namek is a lot like Earth. What they did not look out on though was like 10 minutes after they arrived on the planet, they see a Saiyan spaceship and guess correctly that it's Vegeta coming to look for the balls himself. Pause. Vegeta's arrival on Namek is so hilarious, bro, because the very minute Vegeta touches down on the planet, dude starts talking absolutely crazy about how he's gonna smoke Frieza the minute he sees Buddy's face. Vegeta got me low-key wanting to start a cap counter to add up all the garbage that comes out of this dude's mouth after making it to Namek. After Vegeta gets done lying to himself, we get our first introduction to Zarbon, Dodoria, and the menace himself, Lord Frieza. The first scene with Frieza shows him in his little Walmart scooter forcing his goons to beat the life out of local Namekians so he can take their Dragon Balls. Frieza has already collected 4 of the balls and is well on his way to gaining the 4 more inches he always dreamed of, like in Resurrection F. Pause. Zarbon tells Frieza that he just picked up on energy that appears to be Vegeta's, and after roasting the man and calling him all manner of monkey-related racial slurs, tells Frieza that there's no worries because they have Kui on the job, and he has always been significantly more powerful than Vegeta ever has. After this, we're introduced to the man himself, Kui, and right from when he was introduced, bro had me dying. Dude was talking crazy about Vegeta the moment he picked him up on the scouter and was just talking wild trash about how Vegeta is garbage and how Buddy's funeral is coming up in just a few minutes. While Kui is making his way to Vegeta, Krillin and Gohan pick up on some evil energy and are approached by Hulk Hogan and a literal dinosaur, just 2 low-ranking jerks on Frieza's payroll who've been sent to smoke anybody that wasn't Namekian. Hogan and Barney start roasting Gohan and Krillin for gathering their ki until they realize too late what's happening and they get one-shotted into a local pond. What got me though with this is that Zarbon picks up on the fact that the energy signals of the losers they sent out are missing, meaning they got wasted. So that Krillin and Gohan literally just snapped these dudes' necks when they kicked them? Like, you're telling me they caught a body within minutes of coming to a new planet? But real talk, it's just, I can't even think about it. I'm gonna try not to think about it. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, we have the first throwdown to occur following the legendary face-off on Earth, and it's the battle between none other than Prince Vegeta and his lifelong rival Kui. And the moment Kui flies in, we know man is gonna be on some bull, because instead of flying down and posting up like usual, man zooms right past Vegeta like he's a jet engine and comes in with this crazy ass explosive punch that, not gonna lie, it would low-key be cool if it was coming from anyone except him. After Kui touches down, Vegeta's talking absolute crazy heat, telling Kui how he's a changed man and how he's gonna have Frieza on his knees soon. Pause. Then Vegeta starts ki charging and Kui's tone changes real quick. Vegeta tells him about how he learned to suppress power on Earth, but he's about to get a taste of what he can really do. No comment. Zarbon and Dodoria pick up on Vegeta's new power level and start tripping because Buddy has never been this nice with it since they have been bullying him and his pops on planet Vegeta. Kui gets punked majorly after seeing Vegeta's power level and starts meat riding like crazy, telling Vegeta they should work together to take on Frieza. Then in a moment of absolute brilliance, Kui pretends Frieza's behind Vegeta. For a split second, Vegeta feels the fear of his ancestors enter his body. Then he busts out Vegeta's favorite technique. That's right, folks, the garbage energy wave volley.
Vegeta no Razokan. Vegeta no Razokan. Vegeta no Razokan. Vegeta no Razokan. Vegeta no Razokan.
You can tell them boys was on the same team out here using the same trash techniques and everything. Kui starts giggling, looking at the massive explosion he just caused and start laughing like he won. But as we all know, if you use an energy blast volley and look at the explosion, you're guaranteed to catch an L in the next 10 minutes. It's kind of like watching that video from the movie The Ring, except instead of dying in 7 days, it's more like the next 7 minutes. As you all correctly guessed, Vegeta emerges from the ashes unscathed, finally looking like the main character. But he realizes that the only way this movie ends well is if he cuts and runs, but it's too late. Vegeta outspeeds bro and puts his hands through the man's guts. Oh my god, and on some straight Mortal Kombat energy, I might add. I promise y'all, I heard fatality as soon as they cut back to Vegeta's face looking wild, crazy, staring at Kui's body, and then he just chucks him in the air. Then Vegeta points 2 fingers at Kui like he was aiming a spirit gun and blows the man apart. Like, bro, somebody explain to me how this move works. Because if you got the ability to just do this, just the ability to point your fingers and blow a dude up, your fight should be lasting seconds at most. This is one thing that always kills me looking back at old Dragon Ball, bro. The powers just be mad random. Like in one episode, Goku is in the hospital and just has the ability to telekinetically control the water in his cup on some avatar energy, and all I could do was sit there and ask houseway. But getting back to the matter at hand, Vegeta buttered Kui's toast with the quickness, and the moment really made me realize that early Namek Saga might be the point in the series where Vegeta catches the most dubs. And God knows I hope bro enjoyed it to the fullest, because after he leaves his planet, his scoreboard starts looking crazy. We're talking Westbrook levels of inconsistency. After a quick scan, the Doria realizes Kui is sleeping with the fishes and starts wetting his size 56 battle trousers, thinking about how strong Vegeta's become. Frieza tells the Doria to shut his rotund self up, and ain't nobody scared of some 4'2" Saiyan out here. We return to Vegeta, and dude is working to hatch a scheme for the Balls Paws. Even with his massive ego and pride, Vegeta knows Frieza will still ruin his day right now. So his best bet is to get a hold of the Dragon Balls before Frieza does, so he can make that wish for immortality before taking on the universe's greatest known threat. What has always got me though is that immortality wish. Is that really the play? Because in my mind, just because you can't die doesn't mean that you no longer can take an L or that you're suddenly more powerful than you were before. So theoretically, couldn't Frieza or somebody else more powerful just make Vegeta a permanent POW and torture bro for like ever while he just has to take the abuse and get folded on an infinite number of times like some Itachi infinite Tsukiyomi type energy? Who knows, y'all? Maybe I'm overthinking it. But right here, homies, is a good place to call it, because soon Vegeta will be running up on Zarbon and Dodoria, and the battles will really start to jump off. Namek is already shaping up to be a trip, y'all. I forgot how good of a job the series does in the beginning stages, setting up the tension with the rat race for the Dragon Balls between the 3 different groups, and it only gets better from here, so I hope y'all are just as excited about it as I am for what's to come. After Vegeta got done smoking on that Kui pack, we cut back to Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma, who are working out their plan to collect the nearby Dragon Balls that have been showing up on the Dragon radar. During their discussion though, Gohan and Krillin's spider sense go off when they sense an extremely strong and evil presence heading right towards their position. They warn Bulma to go hide in a nearby cave as they duck down and hope whatever that's coming towards them doesn't notice their energy and decides to pay them a special visit. Now I really have to point out just how cool the Namek arc is, especially this beginning section, because the lead characters that we're following, while not powerless, are definitely not at the top of the tier list when it comes to strength. They are batting way out of their league on this planet, and the story recognizes this fact. And the tension and sense of anxiety that it's able to create as a viewer is top notch, and really keeps you wondering what is going to happen next at any given moment. Within a few seconds of them hiding, the powers that they were sensing make an appearance, and it was none other than the diabolical Frieza Force, presumably making their way to the next Namekian village they can find to commit more war crimes to get their hands on another Dragon Ball. Gohan and Krillin are shook after sensing the power levels of everyone in that group, but especially the little dude in the scooter at the front. Boy, if they only knew. Operating off of no common sense and vibes alone, Krillin and Gohan decide to head the same direction as the Frieza Force, hoping to reach the local Namekians before Frieza can and convince them to give them the Dragon Balls before Frieza arrives. Gohan and the Drip God head out, while Bulma wastes no time making a call over to Kame House and letting Roshi know that they're going to be needing reinforcements ASAP, because stuff is already about to jump off on planet Namek, and they are desperately low on shooters. Master Roshi, big chilling in his suit jacket and boxers, like say less. Gets off the phone with Bulma and heads over to the hospital with the quickness to Goku's location, letting him know that the bat signal is out and he's being summoned. Roshi rolls up to the hospital, hits Goku's room, and waits for Chi-Chi to walk out before he makes his request, because he already knows what type of timing she would be on if she knew what he was in there to ask her husband. With no time to lose, Roshi starts getting Goku up to speed with the situation on Namek, telling him how Bulma and the crew made it, but Vegeta has already been spotted on the planet as well and is up to devious antics. Not only that, but there's someone out there with a power level even greater than Vegeta's hanging out over there as well. Let's not forget that Roshi also makes sure he grabs a crazy handful of the nurse's yams while he's talking. Then after she peeps what happens, bro tells her that he talks with his hands and he must have slipped up. This old man is a walking court case, bro. I can't with him. Hearing about everything going on Namek makes Goku even more hasty to recover so he can get in the mix, but he still needs time to heal. Then out of nowhere, coming in clutch, Korn the God and Yajirobe arrive with a bag of Senzu beans. Goku eats one, recovers immediately, flexing one time and busting out of his entire full body cast. Somebody needs to tell me what Korn is cooking up in them beans, bro, because whatever he got in them bad boys cannot be legal, I promise you. The doctor, nurse, and everyone in the hospital starts looking at Goku in straight disbelief, as they should. Then bro just hops off the roof of the hospital, jumps on a cloud, and makes a beeline directly to Dr. Brief's house to see if the spaceship that he has been preparing is ready, so Goku can start making his journey to Namek as well. Goku rolls up on Bulma's house and is greeted by none other than my wife, Mrs. Briefs. She lets Goku know that she's pretty sure that the spaceship her husband's working on is not even close to being done yet, but they can walk over together and catch up while they check in about it. Mrs. Brief then starts gassing Goku up about how much Riz he has and tells Goku that his son must be a Riz god as well if he's a product of his Dragon Balls. Goku shuts his mouth real quick though, because he knows if any of this gets back to Chi-Chi, there's going to be a timeline shift and Goten is never going to be born. They make it to the ship and are greeted by Dr. Briefs. He lets Goku inside, shows Goku the control panel, the gravity training mechanism, and all the ship's details. Goku excitedly asks the doctor when it will be able to fly, and he tells him right now. Goku's mad confused at this point and tells him that he thought it wasn't close to being done. The doctor tells him that it isn't, that it's still missing the coffee maker. Goku tells the doctor to stop the cap right now and teach him the controls, because if he doesn't, his day one, his son, and Dr. Brief's daughter are going to end up a chalk outline somewhere on an alien planet. Wasting no more time, Dr. Brief teaches Goku what he needs, and Earth's #1 hitter heads to Namek. Meanwhile, back on Namek, Gohan and Krillin arrive just in time to spot the Frieza force pressing in local Namekian elders for the location of the final pair of Dragon Balls. Frieza is more than happy to tell them about the other green homies that didn't want to share their information either, so instead of giving up the balls, they gave up the ghost, and he's more than happy to give the same treatment to these fellas. Frieza then has Zarbon have a quick example, and Buddy is more than happy to help out. With as much zest as he can muster, Buddy flips in the air, teleports, then appears right behind one of the Namekian elders, snapping his neck and knocking dude a football field away. One of the other elder fights back and shoots a ki blast, but Zarbon jumps out of the way, so that blast ends up smoking this random Frieza Force member, and I can't lie, it had me kind of weak. Buddy was probably like one day from retirement too.
Here today we laid to rest Nibbana. He was just one day away from retirement. May he now retire forever, since, you know, he's dead.
Zarbon floats in the air and smokes the other Namekian with a zest beam. Dude gets cooked up and dies shortly after. Then after this, the Namekian hit squad arrives and are not happy about these invaders coming to their home and causing problems. Dodoria sizes them up with a scouter and starts roasting them about their power levels, and the whole Frieza force was out here yucking it up. But that didn't last long, because them Namekian fellas don't play, and they were on the same type of time as the Earth Warriors, showcasing that they can raise and lower their power level after kicking one of the Frieza force so hard, dude became a permanent museum exhibit in one of the walls. The tide of the battle starts shifting quick after this, with the other Namekians powering up and absolutely dog walking the lower ranking members of the Frieza force. Where did Frieza find these bums, bruh? My man's gonna have to step up his recruitment plan, because if theirs are the type of dudes that you're paying money to join your ranks, you absolutely deserve every L you take. While they are distracted, Mori, the local Namekian elder with knowledge of the Dragon Ball, shoots Dodoria's scouter and destroys the ones on the faces of the now deceased Frieza force members as well. Hoping that without these devices, the search for the rest of his people and the balls will take much longer to complete. Majin Buu's second cousin Dodoria starts losing his patience at this point and begins an attack on the remaining Namekians. Even though dude's got some size to him, he can move, but he teleports and puts his arm directly through the chest of one of the local Namekians, giving him a matching tattoo with Kui, who just got bobbed not too long ago. Then Dodoria elbows one of the other Namekians and shoots a mouth beam that completely engulfs this dude in blue flames and has him looking like Dr. Manhattan out here. After this, there's just one Namekian warrior remaining. Dude musters up every ounce of energy he has and shoots a ki wave at Dodoria. It lights off a big explosion and dust flies everywhere. But as we all know by now, according to DBZ code section 2 subsection C, if you fire off an energy blast and look at the explosion, it's guaranteed your opponent will be absolutely fine and will emerge from the dust cloud looking like the main character. And exactly as the handbook commands, Dodoria emerges from the crater unscathed and gives this man a flying headbutt from the depths of hell looking like E Honda, plastering this this dude directly to the wall. Zarbon always said Dodoria's head game was ridiculous. Guess he wasn't kidding. By this point, Frieza himself is growing impatient. Zarbon tells Dodoria that they don't even really need the Scouters to track down the balls or the Namekians. Frieza agrees and tells Dodoria that he's good to smoke the final Elder as well as the Namekian children. Mori the Elder prepares to fight. He tells the small Namekian children to run for help while he'll do everything in his power to hold them off as long as he can. Dodoria fires off a mouse blast and it flies directly past Mori, but Dodoria didn't miss. He was aiming at one of the kids. The beam hits him and instantly takes out one of the Namekian children. The other Namekian kid is the homie Dende, who, as we know, becomes an extremely significant character as the story progresses. Dende attempts to heal the other child, but it's too late. Mori is staring at the whole situation in disbelief, and while he's distracted, Dodoria makes his way behind him, grips his neck, and in one motion twists it, snapping Mori's neck and ending his life instantly. And don't forget, Krillin and young Gohan are watching this whole snuff film from the cliffside because they know if they make a peep, Dodoria is going to have no problem popping their tops like a Pringles can either. By this point, if you don't understand why Gohan is so scared at this time and how it impacted his view of fighting and conflict, I really don't know what to tell you. This little boy is out here in the middle of the battlefield witnessing literal war crimes, and you still got people like, bro, why is Gohan crying all the time? If that was me, I would have tossed Dodoria salad, but I'm different. Alright, buddy, yeah, you keep telling yourself that too. But back to the matter at hand, Gohan reaches his breaking point watching everything that's happened, and moments before Dodoria can take out Dende, Gohan kicks the man straight into a local house. The look of pure surprise on Zarbon and Frieza's face almost took me out when little homie jumped off to clap this man. You could tell that they just wanted to ask, whose man is this? But Gohan didn't even give him the chance to process it. After Dodoria picked his jaw up off the ground, he makes his way to Gohan, but before he can do that, Krillin bops him again. But unlike Gohan, Krillin knows damn well that this W is temporary, and if they ever want to see Earth's surface again, they need to take this little green boy and head out yesterday. And that's exactly what they do. Krillin picks up Dende and they fly off, doing everything they can to leave Dodoria in the dust. Krillin hits the Michelin Man with a hood classic, the solar flare, buying them some time, and they start gaining distance from the dude so they can hide on a local piece of land. Dodoria searches for a bit, but since he can't read energy, he has no luck, so instead dude tries to nuke the whole area and proceeds to dip. Bro is just as sloppy as his appearance. Man didn't confirm the kill, check for bodies, nothing. Just shot the trash key blast and assumed the job was done. I'm really starting to question Frieza's judgment on his employees, y'all, because some of these dudes are hot trash. As Dodoria tries to make his way back to Frieza's side, he gets ambushed out of nowhere and knocked into the water. As dude catches his breath and stands up, who else does he see but Lord Vegeta-sama, with his arms crossed greeting him with the smuggest smile you've ever seen. I know I roast this man, but it's good to see him because whenever bro's on screen, you know something mad entertaining is about to happen. Vegeta and Dodoria chop it up for a little bit, with Dodoria running at the mouth about how he's going to offer Vegeta an ultimatum. If Vegeta hands over a scouter and leaves the planet, Dodoria will be willing to overlook his transgressions and not beat him into the concrete, but only this one time. Vegeta had me weak though, because he was ready with the clap back, telling him that he forgot that Dodoria and Zarbon relied on the Scouters to help make sure they never lose sight of Frieza's ass crack to stick their nose in. Bro's a menace, man. You got no choice but to let Namek Saga Vegeta cook. Vegeta then throws down a Scouter like he's going to go along with Dodoria's request. Then as Dodoria inches closer, he crushes it underneath his heel. Dodoria can't believe the type of disrespect this man is on right now. Him being willing to do this lets him know that the prince is on something different. Vegeta reminisces briefly with Dodoria telling him about how he learned to sense power levels on Earth, making it so he doesn't need these useless gadgets anymore. Dodoria threatens Vegeta one more time to run away, but Vegeta already smells the bitch in the air and is coming straight from Dodoria's direction. Vegeta tells Dodoria that he already knows he's shook after sensing what Vegeta did to Kui, and that he knows he's on the chopping block next. And the series of events that precedes this moment are absolutely tragic. Alright y'all, let's count the number of things Dodoria does that's just absolutely awful at this point in time to let us know he's going to take an L before the fight's even over. 1. Dude starts complaining that his old Scouter was malfunctioning when it read Vegeta's power level back then. The minute you start talking about your Scouter not working, you're cooked. Number 2. He busts out the fan favorite. That's right, everybody knows we're talking about the trademark Vegeta Energy Blast Volley. Dude begins firing off rapid fire key blast at Vegeta's direction after realizing Buddy has no plans on running from this fight. But Dodoria catches an even more major L because before he can even a look at the blast to confirm that Vegeta is now the main character, Vegeta warps behind him, grabs his arms, and gets Dodoria in position to receive the craziest back shots of his life. I promise you, the level of disrespect from Vegeta here is absolutely off the charts. Even if Dodoria somehow made it out of this in one piece, he would never be the same low-key. And finally, number 3 on the list of things that let us know Dodoria is a dead man walking, bro tries to bargain. The minute you start offering somebody money or you offer to switch sides to help them out in DBZ, you might as well hang up the jersey cause your rap career is over. But Dodoria tries it anyway. Moments before Vegeta is ready to fold homie like a lawn chair after a summer cookout, Dodoria tells Vegeta that if he doesn't cook him, he'll tell him about the true fate of Planet Vegeta that had been kept secret all these years. Dodoria informs Vegeta that it wasn't a meteorite that crashed into the planet like they had been told all those years ago, but Frieza, fearing the same uprising, decided to nip things in the bud and wipe out the whole planet. Discount Boo gets done with the story and then he looks over at Vegeta like, you gonna let me go, right? And Vegeta looks up at him like, bro, you must be playing. Vegeta tells him that he's wiping them out not because all the Saiyans that he killed are on some revenge for his people type energy, but because he and Frieza thought they could lie to him and have him looking crazy while they were out here doing whatever they want. Then Vegeta blows dude away with a generic energy wave and man didn't even get to get taken out by a brand name move. You really hate to see it. After he wipes out Dodoria, Vegeta makes his way to a nearby Namekian village. Vegeta tells him that he's here for the Dragon Balls, he's not leaving without it. Man then points his finger at one of the Namekians and shoots out a literal spirit gun and kills dude instantly. Then for absolutely no reason, dude just starts maniacally laughing for a good minute. While the whole village stands around him posted up, wondering how many perk 30s this dude must be off of to be acting this strange. Then the Namekians do everything they can. They try to attack Vegeta, play dumb, pretend they don't know where the Dragon Balls are, but it's no use. Eventually, Vegeta kills every man and child in the village, only leaving one of the elders alive. Before he takes out the last elder, Vegeta senses energy in a nearby building. He blows the building and the Namekians in it, the Kingdom Come, and it's revealed that this is the room where the Dragon Balls have been hiding. Vegeta smiles evilly to himself and throws the ball to a nearby body of water, hiding it so that even if Frieza collects all the rest of the balls, there's a slim chance that he's going to be able to find this one himself. Bro, the whole scene really reminded me just how much character progression Vegeta goes through as the series ages. When I was younger, if you would have told me that this 3'9" war criminal with a 5 head would become the hero of the story later and become just as respected of Goku in his own right, I would have told you to put down the pipe and leave me alone. The guy we see here on Namek feels damn near irredeemable at times when we see everything that he's done. So Toriyama's ability to write this character in a way that makes him someone viewers grow to love and even sympathize with is a testament to his talent. While Vegeta is wrapping up his Geneva Convention violations, Goku is wrapping up his training in 20 times gravity to move on to something with even higher pressure. But in between his beast mode grind set, he gets a FaceTime call from King Kai, and it's from all his homies that hit the big one from the throwdown on the earth. Yamcha, Tien, Chiaotzu, and even Piccolo all made it to King Kai's place and chopped it up on the line for a bit with Goku before their own training regimen with Bubbles and Gregory went underway. While this family reunion is happening, Bulma, Gohan, and Krillin explain to Dende their reasons for showing up on the planet and their desire to wish their friends back to life, and this would help in turn bring back their Dragon Balls on Earth as well. Sensing that they could be trusted, he asks them to team up and tells them that he wants to take them to the Elder Guru, the wisest of all Namekians who are sure to have a plan on how to save everyone. Dende informs them that he is the Guru's 108th child and the Elder Guru has been on the planet for the longest. After hearing about the Guru birthing all the Namekians on the planet, Bulma asks for a major pause on the situation and wants to know about what kind of woman is able to birth that many kids. Dende stares blankly at her for a moment, telling her he's lost and that bro doesn't even know what a female is for real. He tells her that there's only one type of Namekian out there and they make Namekian kids by dropping eggs out their mouths. It was at this point that I completely understood why King Piccolo was on demon time at the beginning of the series. If I came from a race with absolutely zero females, I would be chronically pissed and ready to commit atrocities too. And here we have our setup, homies. Vegeta and Lord Frieza are on the race for the Dragon Balls on a crash course for conflict. Gohan and Krillin are making their way to the Elder Guru for advice on how to navigate the conflict that threatens to destroy the entire planet, and Goku's on the Sigma grind set working to prepare for the fight of his life. Shortly after sending the bloated piece of bubblegum Dodoria back to the trash bin and hiding one of the Dragon Balls to make sure Frieza has no way to summon the dragon, Vegeta believes he has confirmed the position of the last Dragon Ball and flies off to obtain it. Off in Filler Land, Goku is continuing his conversation with King Kai and the Z homies as he gets them up to speed with Vegeta being confirmed to be on Namek, as well as to make matters worse, there's someone else on the planet strong enough to make him seem like light work. King Kai has a bad feeling that he knows who it is, but since this planet runs on Spectrum internet and has absolutely trash Wi-Fi, he has to walk to just the right spot for his connection to stabilize and confirm his position. Unfortunately, his predictions were correct, and he informs them all that the other force on the planet is indeed the detestable Lord Frieza, and that Goku needs to dead any thoughts he has of fighting this menace immediately. King Kai tells Goku that it isn't only for his sake either. He tells Goku that if he pokes a hornet's nest and pisses Frieza off, it's possible for the entire universe to catch a fade, and he is not trying to be anywhere on that list. While the rest of the crew is taking dumps in their training gis, Piccolo gets on FaceTime and tells Goku that the rest of these fellas are bitch made and to continue putting in work. Between himself, Goku, Krillin, and Gohan, he feels they should be able to handle pretty much anything out there. King Kai cut the line shortly after this, and Goku returned to his rapidly increasing gravity training in preparation for war. Piccolo was so wrong for what he did, man. Not only did he disrespect King Kai while using the man's own internet connection to relay his message, but he completely hoed Tien, Chiaotzu, Yamcha, totally leaving them out of the equation when it came to stopping the upcoming threat. And worst of all, them boys ain't say a damn thing about it. They knew in their heart that their days as part of the main cast was over, and it was slowly time to get used to these 30-second slots in the background, with an occasional moment as comic relief if they're lucky. To be honest, this is what their training on King Kai's planet was really about, and why he had these boys cracking jokes the moment they got there. Man knew that this was the best they could hope for at this point in the series. Absolutely tragic. Following these antics, we return to Namek and follow Zarbon as he mentally curses out the Elder Namek Mori for destroying their scouters in the earlier skirmish. Before he continued the tirade, Zarbon is immediately forced back as his aura collides with none other than the prince, and the two bounce off one another. As you may have guessed of Namek Vegeta, the man immediately begins talking spicy to Zarbon, telling him about how he blew the pink BBW's back out and sent him packing, and it's just about Zarbon's turn to get the same treatment. Zarbon calls Cap, telling Vegeta that he knows he's packing a shrimp and there's no way he could have got up in Doria's cheeks like that. But Vegeta simply laughs and tells him that he'll just have to learn the hard way. About ready to finish the foreplay, Vegeta tells Zarbon that Doria spilled the beans on Frieza's fear of the Saiyans, and thus concludes that he must have Frieza shook as well. Add one to the Cap counter, please. Zarbon giggles to himself and waves this off quickly, telling Vegeta that Frieza was a bit worried about what the Saiyans may be able to accomplish together, but a single monkey alone rolling up on his door wasn't something that has him sweating in the slightest. Deciding he better stop before he completely loses this roast session, Vegeta starts to fight by making his way behind Zarbon so he can give him a quick glimpse of that Dodoria special. Zarbon senses the encroaching danger to his manhood and throws a punch at Vegeta, who simply catches it, smiles, and throws dude across the open skies like a McDonald's napkin in traffic. Zarbon decides that he needs to gain some distance because he is not entirely sure what type of timing Vegeta is on, and begins gripping his arm to fire off a zest beam at Vegeta in an effort to end the fight early. Vegeta sees Zarbon's load coming, but instead of dodging it, he decides to take it to the chest and swat it directly with his hand. When the beam lands, it sets off an absolutely insane explosion, leaving Zarbon to admit that he's impressed with Vegeta's improvement and that he actually has surprised him a bit. Vegeta then repays his comment by decking the man directly in the face. Zarbon is in disbelief at the facial Vegeta just gave him and begins his best Chun-Li impression, letting off a flurry of lightning legs in Vegeta's direction. At this point, this is all still light work for Vegeta, who dodges all the attacks with ease and kicks Zarbon down to the ground. Shortly after this, the booty warrior once again appears right behind Zarbon and kicks him yet again, sending him flying as he eats some more Namekian soil. Vegeta then begins cackling like a complete menace, head in the air, mouth wide open, and 5-head exposed to the world, asking Zarbon if he has finally realized the difference in their strength. And here, folks, is one of the instances of what we're going to call the Vegeta Classic. Fans of the series know this one well. The Vegeta Classic happens when you are clearly stronger than your opponent and you have all but won the fight, but instead of finishing things off and taking your W, you talk trash, allow your opponent to power up, and then proceed to take an absolutely humiliating L. Bonus points if you start holding on to your left arm after you get mollywopped. Zarbon starts laughing because he knows this fight ain't over by a long shot. Zarbon cuts his eyes over to Vegeta and tells him that he has something special up his sleeve he wants to show him. Vegeta can't help himself, of course, and tells Zarbon to go ahead and make his day. In seconds, Zarbon begins rapidly transforming, going from lovable Metro icon to bear mode in the blink of an eye. Vegeta doesn't even have time to admire the gains before he's getting a train ran on him. Zarbon begins the party with a knee straight to Vegeta's sack, then he slaps the man on the ground, open-handed by the way, and proceeds to ragdoll him. Then he starts headbutting dude till he's leaking and damn near has tears in his eyes. I'm not even upset though, because if we're keeping it a buck, this is just karma from what he was doing to Gohan back on Earth. The two then proceed to exchange some punches, and the moment they separate, Zarbon comes charging again for yet another knee to the man's groin. That's how you know this beating was personal. Man went for a deliberate sack attack twice in under a minute. Then for a little razzle-dazzle, he hits Vegeta with the Heisman and knocks him through a mountain. At this point, Vegeta is on his knees and the king of Zest just wouldn't have it any other way. No, I'm not talking about Drake. This is still about Zarbon. Zarbon continues his attack, closing in on Vegeta and then hits him with a nasty flip kick straight out of Virtua Fighter. Zarbon then attempts to wrap things up with a ki blast straight to Vegeta's chest. Vegeta manages to get out from under it at the last minute before he's blown to smithereens. Then, just because he was feeling petty, Zarbon uses his patented Vegeta technique. Let's say it in unison, folks. That's right, the Vegeta Energy Blast Volley. While it's hilarious watching Vegeta have to deal with his own medicine, it does absolutely zero work like usual, and the two exchange ki blasts before Zarbon yet again knees Vegeta in the crotch before putting him in a half Nelson and getting ready to snap his neck like a Kit Kat. Vegeta does everything he can to fight back, elbowing dude multiple times in the rib cage, causing Zarbon to let go temporarily. But this is short-lived because he follows up by grabbing the top of Vegeta's head, making him look like a real-life troll doll, and begins to slap the absolute taste out of this grown man's mouth like he's a $5 chump, and he's trying to make change. Then Zarbon double axe handles Vegeta, and we get this crazy fan service shot of the dude's ass, and I don't know what the animators are on in this fight, bro, but it is what it is. And as Vegeta begins plummeting to the earth, Zarbon looks to put him in checkmate by finishing him off with an Izuna drop, aka Izuna Otosh, aka Primary Lotus, aka one of the hardest moves in anime, period. The craziest part about this for me though was when Vegeta lands, it causes a crater and literally explodes. I was so confused, like how hard did this man get dogged that when he hit the surface of Namek, it caused an explosion and literal flames to erupt from the tectonic plate shifting in the bottom of the ocean? Zarbon watches below as the spot where Vegeta landed literally gets washed, and he heads back to Frieza without confirming the kill, just like his buddy Dodoria. It's crazy how being unable to sense energy and power levels put these fellas at such a crazy disadvantage, and it's honestly one of the big reasons why they bought the big one. While Vegeta is in search of a glass of milk, Krillin and Dende find the Elder Guru. When they arrive, they meet the homie Nail, and Krillin remarks on how Nail looks just like Piccolo. Yeah, okay, I see you, Krillin, that's what's up. All Namekian dudes look alike, right? Okay, so you, Tien, and Nappa are all related because y'all bald and can't fight? See, I get stereotyped too, it don't feel too good, do it? Despite the microaggressions, Nail still takes them upstairs to meet the Guru. And I won't cap y'all, I wish I could meet Guru. Homie just has a calming presence, and his smile makes me smile. Bro places his hand on Krillin's cue ball, sees his intentions are pure, and gives him a Dragon Ball and unlocks homie's potential. Krillin is absolutely geeked at his newfound power and rushes off to grab Gohan after the Elder agrees to assist him as well. Zarbon returns to Frieza with no Dragon Ball, but news that he smoked Vegeta. Frieza listens but is skeptical and asks Zarbon if he confirmed the kill. Zarbon starts sweating bullets, telling Frieza that with how hard he hit that Primary Lotus, there's no way he made it. But Frieza's beginning to lose patience, telling Zarbon that he's sloppy and he should have jumped in that hole to confirm the chalk outline. Because of this, now they're sitting looking stupid with no Dragon Ball and a random monkey still on the loose for all they know. Frieza calls on Apu and tells him to ring the home planet and get a hold of the Ginyus, ordering them to come to Namek in 5 days. Zarbon got his mouth wide open, this time for a different reason than usual, telling Frieza that he don't need to do all that and he'll handle it. Frieza's like, bruh, I've been letting you handle it and look how things ended up. Frieza tells him that he's got an hour to find Vegeta in the balls, and Buddy heads out like somebody lit a fire under him. He returns to the hole he left Vegeta in and is looking mad stressed. Lucky for him, Vegeta was still laying there washed up on the shore. Zarbon breathes a sigh of relief, picks Vegeta up, and prepares to take him to the nearest rejuvenation chamber so he can heal up and be tortured for the location of the remaining Dragon Balls. I'm sure y'all can already tell how this movie ends. Zarbon takes Vegeta to the rejuvenation chamber. Apu watches from the outside, roasting Vegeta until he gets jump scared when Vegeta opens up an eyeball and unleashes pure chaos upon Frieza's ship, lighting that place up like a Daft Punk concert. Apu gets smoked in the ensuing explosion, and this is when Vegeta starts to get devious. Rather than running headlong into a fight with Frieza and Zarbon like I low-key thought he would, dude uses his brain and hatches a plan to steal the balls from Frieza's throne room by causing a distraction in one section of the ship so he can hit his lick in the other. Vegeta goes Peyton Manning on the balls and chucks him out the window for him to grab later, then escapes underwater on some pure Rambo energy. At this point, Frieza is livid and tells Zarbon if he does not get out there, find Vegeta, and correct this mess by the time his soap operas get off TV, Porongo won't even be able to undo the damage he's about to go through. Moving faster than he ever has in his life, Zarbon rushes out of Frieza's ship in a desperate search for Vegeta. Meanwhile, Vegeta realizes he might actually have a career in American football because the balls landed literally feet away from one another after he chucked them out the ship. Vegeta then catches wind of an energy signal flying somewhere nearby. Thinking this could be the final Dragon Ball he's looking for, he sets off. Krillin then finally arrives at he, Bulma, and in Gohan's hideout. Bulma informs Krillin that Gohan just went out in search of a nearby Dragon Ball shortly before he arrived. Krillin gets Bulma up to speed on the meeting that he had with Elder Guru and his desire to introduce them, but before he can get too deep into things, who else rolls up on the doorstep but Bulma's future spouse-to-be? Vegeta wastes no time. He begins ball-shaming Krillin and demanding the Dragon Ball, telling him that he is not above putting hands on the Earth Girl either if he tries anything cute. Krillin, realizing he's boned 6 ways to Sunday, starts sweating profusely, but before Vegeta can finish off his villainous monologue, who else shows up but the zest god himself, Zarbon. Bulma immediately begins thirsting over dude, and I can't lie, this kind of brought out the inner future in me a little bit. The whole time, Bulma's out here acting like she was so heartbroken when Yamcha called his fade by that Cyberman. Over here breaking down in tears damn near constantly, inconsolable, telling lifelong friends that she would rather have seen them dead than him. Then in just a few months, she rolls up on an alien planet, takes one glimpse of some Zarbussi, and starts forgetting all about old Yamcha. You hate to see it. I know old boy is rolling around in shambles on King Kai's planet right now. Street behavior if I've ever seen it. But Zarbon shut that itch down immediately, not even looking old girl's direction when he told Vegeta he has no interest in Earthlings. Zarbon commands Vegeta to either tell him the location of the Dragon Balls or Frieza directly, and this will all be over. After getting this most recent Zenkai boost, nobody can tell Vegeta nothing. Vegeta lets his nuts hang and tells Zarbon if he wants the Dragon Ball so bad he's gonna have to get them. Zarbon chuckles to himself because he knew this was coming. Vegeta tells him he better go bear mode again though, because Zesty Zarbon stands no chance of getting the job done. Vegeta's arrogance really set Zarbon off here, and he flies towards Vegeta back on his Chun-Li timing with the kicks, but the prince dodges easily. Vegeta hops in the air and does his favorite thing. No, I don't mean lose and hold his arm. I'm talking about the signature technique, the energy blast volley. And this move is so ass. Even when Zarbon is this close by, he just slightly moves his torso and is able to weave his way through the attack. My favorite part though is what he did after shooting the ki blast. He does this goofy looking chop or open-handed slap that hits Vegeta square in the cheek and leaves him shook for a minute. If I'm Vegeta, I'm reacting the same way. Being in a fight with another grown man for your actual life and getting met with a karate chop is just devastating in a number of ways. As if the vent is concerned, Vegeta curb stomps Zarbon to the ground, and this is where Buddy finally decided to get serious and bring out Shrek. Vegeta fires off his trademark once again. Zarbon weaves through it like light work even as a big body. He then tosses Vegeta in the air like some pizza dough and shoots a ki blast, but Vegeta manages to react in time, make his way to the ground, grab some Namekian soil, and dodge right before having his face flattened. Vegeta then hops in the air and hits Swamp Thing with the King of the Hill special, some good old pocket sand. Zarbon is then blinded for a moment, and while he can't see, Vegeta hits with an absolutely nasty back shot, piercing his armor. Vegeta then knocks Buddy into the water, hits his trademark, and Buddy emerges from the water because we all know that there was no chance that last attack ended in the fight. Vegeta then begins popping off at the mouth about the near-death power-up Saiyans get and how Zarbon at this point is cooked. He refuses to accept this though, and the two trade punches for a brief moment until Vegeta decides to take us to the climax by fisting Zarbon deep in his guts. Zarbon begins begging for his life, attempting to bargain with Vegeta and telling him that he will help him fight against Frieza if he spares his life. But as we are all aware of from our readings from the DBZ handbook, if you attempt to bargain with your opponent for your life, you already lost. Vegeta, deciding he's had enough of being inside Zarbon's guts, decides to finish, shooting a load inside Zarbon and sending him floating into the Namekian atmosphere. With Zarbon going, Vegeta takes the Dragon Ball he robbed off Krillin and begins fantasizing about his future immortality. The last hope can be seen in young Gohan, who's carrying the last remaining Dragon Ball in hopes of keeping it out of Vegeta's vile clutches. Before anything else, I gotta talk to y'all about the absolutely unhinged filler episode that happens before the intro of the Ginyu Force. Right after Zarbon gets smoked, we cut back to King Kai's planet where Piccolo and the C-Team are finishing up their training. King Kai tells the crew that he can sense a number of massive power levels heading to planet Namek, and his intuition tells him that it's the Ginyu Force, a covert but extremely fearsome strike team that Frieza uses in his planetary takeovers to get the job done ASAP when the situation calls for it. Yamcha tells King Kai that now that they've been through his training, the only force they're gonna be is forced back home. Good one, Yamcha. This fella's an absolute comedian now, huh? And the funniest part of this whole thing wasn't even Yamcha's musty ass joke, but the fact that King Kai heard it and stared at Yamcha like he was a Terminator. King Kai knew in no uncertain terms that he was looking at the very least no less than 3 dead men walking. And if we're keeping it a buck, probably 4, because even though Piccolo's nice with it, he low-key is a major cap god at this point in the series, right along with Vegeta. Following this, we cut to Namek, where we see Gohan looking to return to the hideout after he scooped up the Dragon Ball Vegeta-san hid away from Menace Lord Frieza. Vegeta senses Gohan as he makes his way towards his goal, giggling like a schoolgirl at the prospect of making his immortality wish. Gohan, quickly realizing something very wrong is approaching, attempts to hide under a nearby piece of land in hopes of Vegeta passing him by. It's not his lucky day though, as Vegeta is aware that something is nearby and threatens to smoke the entire block if whoever's hiding doesn't show their face. Realizing that Megamind is unhinged and will absolutely nuke this entire area without a second thought, Gohan reveals himself, hiding the Dragon Ball nearby and praying Vegeta doesn't see it. What happens next is one of the strangest things I have ever peeped in the series. So Vegeta slowly begins descending toward the ground and immediately recognizes Gohan as the son of Kakarot. Vegeta tells Gohan that he just got done paying a visit to his friends. Gohan immediately starts to get aggro, yelling at Vegeta with some bass in his voice, telling him he better not have laid a finger on his friends. Vegeta chuckles, telling Gohan that the bald man gave up the ball without a fight and that he was feeling merciful since all the balls were now in his possession, but he can absolutely be convinced with little effort to run their fate if he insists. Vegeta sees the Dragon Radar in Gohan's hands and begins questioning him on the purpose of that device. Due to the excessive number of concussions he suffered from the battle on Earth, the only lie Gohan could think of was to tell him that it was an antique watch. Vegeta stares at Gohan like Superintendent Chalmers for a bit before deciding to move things forward and ask Gohan what his pops has been up to, like he's little buddy's uncle at the barbecue who hasn't seen him in a minute. Gohan tells this weirdo that his pops isn't here and he hasn't seen him in a long time, and this dude starts cooking up Goku's skills as a father for neglecting little mans. Then this man Vegeta puts his hand on this young boy's head like he's a mentor or a father figure, acting like he didn't just call his pops out of his name less than 10 seconds ago. Dude continues talking, telling Gohan that they're the last of the Saiyans, that they're basically brothers, and I crap you not, dude slowly starts caressing Gohan's cheek. Then the scene freezes on Vegeta's face as he stares at Gohan for like a solid 6 seconds, no blinking, mouth half open. And bruh, Gohan's eyes are absolutely bugging at this point. His whole body's twitching. I promise you I want to call Chris Hansen and have Vegeta take a seat. I don't know what kind of time this man was on, but I promise you he needs to be in a registry the way he was looking at this child's eyes. Then out of nowhere, this man grabs this kid's head and knees him with an absolutely vicious shot to the gut. That man was waiting to do that to Gohan since he took that Uber off planet Earth, I promise you. This man Vegeta then starts roasting Gohan, saying that he's even more gullible than his father. Whole time I'm sitting there watching this like, man, what? You're acting like little bro had a choice. The moment you saw dude, you were acting strange. Started invading his personal space and then you assaulted him. What was he supposed to do? If little homie fought back at any point, your sorry ass would have had him sleeping with the Namekian fishes pronto. But I digress. Vegeta flies off geeking, thinking that he has all the Dragon Balls, and once the coast is clear, Gohan collects himself, trying to mentally recover from the crazy ass encounter, and heads back to meet Krillin and Bulma. Gohan arrives with the Dragon Ball, informing them that he almost got bad touched by Vegeta, but thankfully he made it out largely in one piece. Krillin and Bulma decide that the best thing to do at this point is to find a new hideout because they know Vegeta's going to be knocking on that front door none too kindly after realizing he got duped. Krillin also tells Gohan about the Guru and how he wants Gohan to meet him in order for his potential to be unlocked as well. Vegeta flies back to the location he left the Dragon Ball he yoinked off Frieza, jumps in the water, searches for a while, but for the life of him, he cannot find where he left it. Then he begins thinking and realizes that he may have just gotten played by that Earth boy, recalling Gohan's discomfort and dodginess during their recent encounter. He also thinks back on the strange device Gohan had and realizes that those weren't steamed hams at all, but in actuality, there was some kind of Dragon Ball locator device. Vegeta flies out the water looking more pissed than when he first discovered his Widow's Peak and immediately beelines to Krillin and Bulma's old location. He finds it empty, blows the entire place up, and vows to wipe each of those Earthlings off the map slowly and painfully. Shortly after this, we're treated to some filler episodes with Bulma on a quest to retrieve a Dragon Ball she let fall in the water, and the homie Goku finishing up his training and giving the audience a PSA on the dangers of alcohol and how it's much better to have a nice refreshing sports drink instead. We fast forward and Krillin and Gohan are fast approaching the Guru, but there's one little problem. Vegeta's right at their heels and he's pissed. Krillin tells Gohan that he'll stall for time and then go straight to Guru's house because his unlocked power might be the only chance they have to take on Vegeta. Vegeta arrives and immediately begins pressing Vin Diesel for the ball that ganked off him. Before he's able to stick his White Saiyan Air Maxes through the man's chrome dome, he senses significant power coming from Guru's hideout and decides that's more important than what he has going on now. As Vegeta arrives, the Guru is putting the finishing touches on Gohan's unlocked potential, expressing how Gohan has more latent power than anyone he's ever met. While waiting outside, the power level registers so high that Vegeta assumes that it's Goku in the building and he starts lacing up for round 2. Imagine his surprise when little homie with the bowl cut walks out of the building staring him dead in his eyes. Vegeta stares in disbelief and starts showcasing his Napoleon Napoleon complex, daring all of them to jump him at once to show him how unbothered he is. Nail's getting real sick of this 4'4" menace coming to his home and talking all disrespectful, but before he can knock the coins out of him, they all of a sudden sense a strong power level about to make a landing on the planet. After sensing these power levels, I cannot even begin to explain to you how fast the spirit of bitch madness entered Vegeta's body, but he goes from I'm ready to take on the whole squad to let's team up and make a wish on these Dragon Balls real quick fast enough to give you whiplash. His idea is for him, Krillin, and Gohan to gather all the balls that they have and wish for Vegeta to be invincible so that he can take out the incoming threat before they each receive the individualized ass whooping of a lifetime. Krillin says hell no at first, as any reasonable person should, and requests to wish for Gohan to be invincible so he can take him on. I know Gohan had to be looking over at Krillin like, what? Because I know for a fact that they did not discuss this plan beforehand and they threw little buddy right under the bus. Vegeta calls the idea trash though, not because Gohan doesn't have the power, but because he doesn't have the battle experience, and the crew there about to go against are straight shooters with an uncountable number of bodies between each of them. Krillin hates the plan with all his heart, but he sees no other way. The only thing consoling him at this point being Nail's revelation that the Namekian balls allow for 3 wishes instead of 1 like Shenron's on Earth. While they work together to gather the balls, the Ginyu Force make their grand entrance, and let me tell you right now, these fellas are different. I know I was calling Zarbon the zestiest character in the series the other day, but the Ginyu Force entered the chat and they may have something to say about that. Each member takes a moment to introduce themselves along with hitting their signature pose. First up, we got the brains of the Operation Raccoon, who starts hitting the deepest dab you ever seen. Following that, we have Usain Bolt's cousin, the fastest creature alive, Birder, who hits a symmetrical dab to his bro Raccoon. Next up, we got the Thunder from Down Under, Jace, who in addition to supplying us with some really uncomfortable moans, drops to a knee and hits a Y pose in honor of his favorite band, the Village People. Next up is the heartthrob of the group, Goldo, who is the same pose as his buddy Jace. Then to finish things off, last but certainly not least, we have the venerable Captain Suckass, who is clearly a Meg Thee Stallion fan, toots that ass up and putting his head between his legs in an absolute display of style and dominance. Together, these pillars of strength and masculinity represent the one and only Ginyu Force. The absolute best part of this, though, is when they finish their entrance, Frieza literally blushes and at a loss of words. When you're able to manifest enough cringe into the world that you can make a heartless bastard like Frieza need to take a breather, you know that you are just fundamentally different. After Frieza picks up his jaw off the floor, he gives the Ginyu Force their orders. They are to retrieve the Namekian Dragon Balls and bring the traitor Saiyan Monkey Vegeta back to Frieza, alive. And I gotta say that there's something about Frieza insisting on Vegeta being captured alive that is so much more alarming and sinister than if he flat out requested the Ginyu Force waste him. It captures that aspect of his character perfectly and gives your imagination working in the worst possible ways as to what Frieza might have planned for the guy. Ginyu senses 2 other power levels with Vegeta, and Frieza mentions that they're likely his little Earth buddies and they're free to dispose of them as they wish. With their new orders confirmed, the Ginyu squad begins marching in place, holding up like some kind of flamboyant alien football team, and head off to follow through on their orders. I swear, Frieza's reactions and facial expressions as he peeps the Ginyu Force are absolutely priceless. Dude is just staring at them like he cannot believe he knows these fellas, let alone he keeps them on payroll to do actual business with them. Next, we see Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan doing their best to gain some distance from the Ginyu Force, who at this point are moving hot on their tail paws. As Vegeta and the rest of the crew finally make their approach to the rest of the balls Vegeta snatched off Frieza, Krillin decides that he's having cold feet now of all times and having second thoughts about handing them over to Vegeta. Vegeta looks at dude like he is out of his mind, and for once, I actually agree with him. You really decide now of all times, as we sit on the precipice of our impending doom, that you all of a sudden don't know about the plan and want to go back to the drawing board? As Vegeta raises his hand to give Krillin the pan of a lifetime, who else rolls out the cup but Ginyu and the rest of the Force, chuckling in unison like they must have practiced it at least 1,000 times beforehand. After the fellas finish cackling, Ginyu asks Vegeta nicely to hand over his Dragon Ball. Vegeta, never being one to go out without making as much of a fool of himself as possible, tells Ginyu over his dead body and attempts to chuck the Dragon Ball halfway across Namek in a last-ditch effort to ensure it doesn't get into Ginyu's clutches. Moments after the ball leaves his hand, the crew enters some kind of weird-ass Max Payne-style bullet time situation as Birder can be seen flying directly above their heads, catching the ball in midair and returning to a spot back in line before the 3 of them can even register what happened. After peeping this, Vegeta tells Nappa 2 to hurry up and turn that Dragon Ball in his hand into cosmic particles this instant. Man was willing to sacrifice his wish before letting the Ginyus get that thing. That's how you know this man Vegeta was not playing around with these fellas. Krillin decides to actually listen for once in his life, lifts his arm in the air and gets ready to pulverize any dreams they had of returning their dead homies home in the process. I know Yamcha and the rest of them were looking from King Kai's planet in shambles watching what this man was about to do. Lucky for them, the 3'3" sex symbol Goldo was there, using his powers of telekinesis to snatch the ball from Krillin's hands moments before destruction. Vegeta looks back over at the Ginyu Force looking absolutely devastated, telling Krillin and Gohan how word on the street is that Goldo is able to summon Star Platinum and stop time momentarily momentarily as a part of a seemingly random assortment of powers. Goldo hands the final Dragon Ball over to Captain Ginyu, and I promise you this next session about had me in tears because the boys start huddling up, getting into an argument about who's going to run Vegeta's fade. This has got to be the most disrespectful conversation I've ever heard in my life. Can you imagine being a grown man having to look in front of you and watch as another group of grown men argue about which of them gets to beat the brakes off you, and you know in your heart you are too damn soft to do anything about it? Krillin suggests trying to run while they draw straws for Vegeta's booty hole, but Vegeta tells Jason Statham that this fate is inevitable and that their only real chance is to hold out long enough until they are able to maybe peep a weakness that one of them has. Raccoon wins the right to destroy Vegeta's cheeks, and after this is decided, Ginyu makes his way out of the scene to give the balls to Lord Frieza. Vegeta huddles up with the B team and starts into one of the funniest conversations in Dragon Ball history with Krillin. Vegeta's like, hey yo, ain't Goku supposed to be on his way to save everybody like real soon? And Krillin looks at this man dead in his eyes and is like, yeah, Goku is on his way to save me and Gohan. I don't know what's about to happen to you, buddy. Bro, when he said this, I promise you I had to stop the video for a minute and collect myself. This man Krillin hates Vegeta's guts so bad, and it's absolutely warranted. Shortly after Vegeta's roasting, the fight begins, with Goldo approaching the front of the group ready to take on Gohan and Krillin. The two fellas begin key charging, and Goldo almost gets smoked by the very first attack if it wasn't for Zawarudo allowing him to get around the key blast and make his way around the environment. Goldo begins to quickly regret his life choices and being a big body as Gohan and Krillin have dudes scrambling for his life, second after second, running around Namek's terrain. The whole time the Ginyu Force is up top watching this, literally side betting on if Goldo is going to get his wig pushed back or not. I cannot believe I forgot how hilarious the Ginyu Force are, man. These dudes are absolute clowns, and they had me dying since the moment they're introduced. Goldo continues to get rocked, and the Ginyu, sick of watching this dude fail, tell homie that if he loses this fight and doesn't finish things up ASAP, he's off the force, as well as kicked off the now canonical Ginyu Force bowling team. Realizing just how weak he's looking out here and afraid of how his future is going to shape up without those Frieza Force checks, Goldo decides that it's time to get serious and bust out this absolutely broken technique called the Mind Bind, which allows him to telekinetically freeze his opponent in place for an extended period of time. It's absolutely crazy how broken Goldo would be if he didn't have an extra chromosome and if he lifted a weight a day in his life. Dude had Gohan and Krillin dead to rights after getting them in that bind, but instead of just taking his W and calling it a day, dude felt the need to toy with his prey, throwing rocks in their face and just being all kinds of disrespectful. At one point, dude might be guilty of one of the biggest Chris Hansen moments and pause moments in DBZ after he approaches Gohan and asks little dude, oh, you don't mind me pulling your cheeks, how about I pound them instead? I got no words for this, bro. Only thing I can say is that if you let something like that out your mouth, you deserve whatever life brings you. Even Goldo's homies are like, bro, stop with the foreplay and murk these humans already. Goldo, realizing his position on the Ginyu Force bowling team is already on thin ice, decides to wrap things up. Dude finds a local Namekian tree, peels the leaves off, gets it sharp, and hurls it directly at Krillin's head. Can y'all imagine how out of pocket it would have been if this attack actually landed? Dude would have single-handedly raised the age rating of the entire series in seconds. Right before Dwayne Johnson's head gets put on a pike, we cut back to Goldo, who now stands motionless, and later his entire head falls off, being decapitated by Vegeta moments before the attack on Krillin could land. Goldo, before his death, calls Vegeta a cheater and throws in some racial slurs for good measure before Vegeta tells little bro that there are no rules in actual combat before he blows his head to King Yama with an energy wave, ending the fight. Krillin tells the prince that he was not expecting a save from him, and Vegeta tells Krillin to shut his bald mouth, and the only reason he did it is because Goldo makes his nuts itch. And next time if they get caught lacking, he is not going to be so lucky. The whole rest of the Ginyu Force stands in shock following what happened to Goldo. Not because they're upset about the death of their teammate, but rather him getting faded means they now have to come up with a whole new routine for their choreography, and that issue is going to take forever. From here, Raccoon takes his place at the head of the line, while Jason Birder play rock, paper, scissors in front of Goldo's corpse for who gets to kill Krillin and Gohan. In pure rage from the lack of seriousness from the Ginyu Force, Vegeta begins key charging and dashes towards Raccoon. He hits Raccoon with a crazy right hook, bashes man into the dirt, stomps a hole in Buddy's chest, then grabs dude's legs and gives him the Petey Pablo treatment, spinning him around his head like a helicopter, launches him, and shoots what looks low-key like a Final Flash before Final Flash existed. But now it's time for a quick DBZ trivia moment, because if you know anything about Dragon Ball Z and the Final Flash specifically, that move statistically has a 0% success rate. That's right, folks. Throughout the entirety of Z, every single enemy that has ever fallen victim to the Final Flash has absolutely lived to tell the tale, making making it potentially one of the most garbage finishing moves on the planet. And as you may have guessed, viewer, this battle with Raccoon was the start of that trend. At first, everyone thinks that Vegeta managed to take homie out with that last combo, but after the dust settles, we see Raccoon posted up in the zestiest pose this side of the Milky Way galaxy, smiling directly in Vegeta's face. Raccoon decides that it's now his time to get his own rocks off. He poses briefly and then nails Vegeta in the face with a knee that he has self-titled the Raccoon kick. Vegeta hit the attack button before he landed, so he recovers and bounces back with a combo of his own, but Raccoon hits him in the top of his massive cranium with an elbow he has lovingly titled the Raccoon Boom. Vegeta tries to gain some distance from Raccoon before his Gump is just way too fast and knocks Vegeta in the water, with Krillin on the sidelines thinking that last attack had to have killed him. I think the worst part of losing to the Ginyu Force is that every time they wash you, they got some kind of comment to make about how dirty they just did you. Like, it's not enough for them to just be way more powerful than you and do you dirty. They also have to make sure they talk as much heat as humanly possible and make you suffer through corny joke after cornball joke just so you're both physically and mentally shattered by the time the fight is over. That's gotta be some kind of war crime. A few moments pass and Vegeta suddenly emerges from the water, moving extremely quickly, and lands a number of seemingly powerful gut shots right to Raccoon's midsection. The attacks seem to be having an effect until Raccoon is like psych, revealing that he's been pretending to be hurt the entire time before he grabs Vegeta by his waist paws and plants him in the dirt like he's been planning to harvest him for next season. Raccoon then grabs Vegeta by his leg like a rabbit freshly pulled from a bear trap, then shortly after gets smoked right in the face with a ki blast by Vegeta. And Vegeta looks so damn tired by this point in the fight, bro. His hair's all messed up, bleeding from every hole in his body, damn near out of energy, and the only people he can rely on are a 6-year-old and his bald uncle. Raccoon then begins posing once again, this time for the climax, getting ready to spray Vegeta head to toe with his eraser gun for a satisfying finish. Krillin looks over at Gohan and tells dude, look little bro, whether we interfere or not, we're already dead, so we might as well jump in now and get a lick off before we don't even get a chance to do that. Now I really want y'all to think about how crazy this is. If you were a 6-year-old and you had your dad's homie, who has low-key been your caregiver this entire time, tell you, look young blood, you're gonna die in the next few minutes. The best thing you can hope for is to hurt this man in front of you and hope that you don't die and have it hurt too much, and I'll see you on the other side, little bro. What the actual hell, man? I feel for Gohan so bad. Namek is a literal war zone and little buddy is stuck dead in the middle of it. Raccoon readies himself and fires off an eraser gun at Vegeta. Right before he can hit it, Gohan and Krillin make their move. Gohan jumps towards Vegeta and saves him from the blast, and Krillin kicks dude in the face, causing him to explode in his own mouth. Couldn't be me, but riddle me this, y'all. Why didn't they have Gohan get Vegeta out of the blast while Raccoon was stuck in place firing off his beam? Then maybe, I don't know, have Krillin prepare a Destructo disc and cut this man in half? And Vegeta must have had the same idea because he starts roasting Gohan and Krillin for saving him rather than taking that moment to melt Raccoon, because they are never going to get another chance like that again. Raccoon's explosive finish inside of his own mouth causes him to lose a few teeth, but overall he has very little damage. But now this made Gohan and Krillin targets as well. Krillin must have made peace with Kami because he rushes towards Raccoon and Big Homie has dude hitting the Family Guy death animation after a single kick once again, looking like a repeat movie from how Vegeta did him on Earth. Krillin tells Gohan that he's cooked, but at least he got one good hit in, and urges Gohan to get out of there with his life while he still has it. Gohan ain't built that way though and stands his ground against the animal Raccoon, acting as the last hope of the forces of good on planet Namek. But unfortunately, things go as well as you would expect. Raccoon absolutely brutalizes the kid, allowing him to get in a hit every now and then for theatrics and fun, but in reality, the kid stands zero chance against Raccoon, with it being a hopeless fight from the very beginning. Gohan gets beaten, bruised, and leaves every bit of his blood, sweat, and tears on the soil in an effort to fend off Raccoon. Gohan then makes one last hopeless rush towards the barbarian, but is countered and is hit with a devastating kick that snaps his neck, leaving him twitching and nearly comatose on the ground feet away from Raccoon.
Fatality.
Vegeta replies at this point there is absolutely zero hope left for him, but right in that instant, a ship can be seen touching ground on the planet's surface, and the situation on Namek is about to change drastically. As our heroes stand on the verge of a game over from their encounter with the Ginyu Force, right before all hope is lost, a ship is seen touching down on Namek in the distance. The doors with the familiar Capsule Corp insignia open, and we see none other than Earth's #1 hitter Goku standing ready to touch down on the brand new planet and change the hierarchy of power on one ass whooping at a time. First thing Goku does is assess the battlefield. He points his senses in every direction and recognizes immediately the strongest force on the planet, which he remembers must be Frieza. After King Kai's warning not to go anywhere near that man unless he wants the entire galaxy coming up Millhouse. He then notices another strong power level who is revealed to be Captain Ginyu. More worrying than these high power levels is the fact that Goku can't seem to find the energy of his friends at all. After entering deep concentration for a few moments, Goku's finally able to pick them up, but recognizes they're on death's door, so he makes an immediate flight to their location. Goku arrives to his homie's location damn near instantaneously, and just like when he first arrived to Earth to meet the Saiyans, he completely ignores the existence of the Clown Force while he tends to the wounded. Goku heads to his son first, sees Gohan on 1% battery, and Vegeta gets sick to his stomach saying, oh, now he wants to show up looking extra raggedy and holding his left arm. Gohan is non-verbal, about to flatline, and bro says, wow, you're in pretty rough shape. I promise you, bro, if Chi-Chi saw this little boy right now and saw his dad's response to him, the Dragon Ball series would have come up on the end right there. No 100 times gravity in the world of saving that man from what Chi-Chi was going to do to him. Goku hits Gohan with a Senzu, and they start walking around the battlefield, chopping it up with his son, who tells him how they were getting dog walked before he showed up. Krillin starts telling Goku that he low-key should have stayed on Earth because they were getting no work done, not even Vegeta, and dude is even stronger than when he whopped him on Earth. Krillin then keeps going on about how it's over until Goku just puts his hand on little Q-Ball's head and like, look, little bro, just let me cook for a second. Goku's so chill about it that Krillin just shuts up on the spot and is like, oh, all right, bet. Originally, I thought he put his hand on his head just to sun him, but then out of nowhere, Goku reveals that he's just Professor X now and starts reading Krillin's thoughts, giving him a full recap in seconds of the situation on Namek. Y'all are really gonna have to explain this one to me because I cannot justify it. How does doing crunches in 100 times gravity make you clairvoyant? Was the semen retention finally paying off after not seeing his wife for so long? I don't know, y'all. I'm grasping at straws here. Krillin even asked dude how he learned to do that, and homie literally responds, I don't know, something just clicked when I was in training. Krillin is shook, telling Goku that he should literally be a pancake training in that kind of weight, and man's like, Goku is just like, I got thick skin. He then takes the final Senzu bean out of his pack and throws it across the battlefield to Vegeta. The accuracy and hands on both of these men are insane, but he eats it, starts bulging like he's about to Hulk out, and Krillin and Gohan start looking at Goku like he's lost his damn mind. Krillin even starts to get disrespectful and asks if that gravity on the ship crushed his brain. Goku's quick to remind them that the only reason they're alive though is because Vegeta took out Goldo, and Krillin's like, damn, say less. I'll just sit over here in the corner and mind my little business. The hate for Krillin in this episode is so wild. Every piece of dialogue that comes out of his mouth is basically telling Goku that he's softer than Charmin, reminding him how he got done on Earth. As time was going on, I could not remember why I did not used to mess with Krillin like this, but these episodes are starting to remind me why I used to hate little buddy as a kid. Real talk though, now I just find dude hilarious and think he's mad funny. Goku rolls up to Raccoon, has Jason Berger take a reading from the scouter. When they tell him that it's only 5K, bro literally flips Goku off for rolling up in here like this when his power level's that damn low. Goku tells Radio not to get too comfy, and that big man will not even be able to lay a hand on him. To which Raccoon responds by laughing in this man's face and telling the fellows he guesses he'll just stop him out with his feet instead. Raccoon then swings at Goku, who vanishes and then appears right behind Jason Berger, telling them that this is their last chance to leave the planet, or there's no guarantees that something strange won't happen to him in the next few minutes. By the time they realize they just got disrespected, Goku was already back to Raccoon ready to mark his gravestone. Looking at it, this part right here really may be the start of Vegeta's lifelong inferiority complex towards Goku. Before this, Vegeta really thought Goku was a low-class bum that got lucky low-key, but after how he does the Ginyu Force, something in Vegeta changes, and it's absolutely for the worst. This moment here starts a long trend of Vegeta denying, then calling Goku a Super Saiyan for dozens of episodes on repeat before the transformation is even remotely close to happening. I remember this getting on my nerves so bad back in the day. Like, we get it, bro. You're the prince. You're supposed to be the GOAT. Blah, blah, blah. Just take your L, hold that left arm, and tell Bulma all about it. Raccoon decides at this point that it's time to wrap things up with this dude who clearly thinks he's the main character. Man starts charging his eraser gun yet again, this time to full power. Everybody nearby is looking to be out of there yesterday. Everybody except big homie Goku, that is. Raccoon prepares to fire the gun one last time, but before bro can even think about what he wants to do, he gets clapped back to reality by an explosive elbow from Goku that basically turns Buddy's bones into sawdust, and I'm pretty sure not even the Frieza Force insurance is going to be able to get him past this one. Everyone's looking in disbelief, because from what they saw, Goku looked like he barely tapped the dude, but Vegeta peeped the whole thing and realizes just how much power he fired off to fold Raccoon like that. And when I tell y'all folded, bruh, I cannot believe how Goku left this man. Dude is literally assed out in front of all his friends, double cheeked up on a Tuesday, the whole world watching. It's just crazy. And the cameraman is dead wrong because there are multiple shots where the whole focus is just this man with his cakes in the air just sleep. If I die like this, I need somebody to at least kick me over so I can have a dollop of dignity left before I reach Kami. Bro was on the Namekian soil moaning his little heart out, and everybody just had to sit there like, damn, he really cooked them up. While the Z homies and Vegeta are chilling, just flabbergasted, Jason and Burter start gassing themselves up, telling themselves, yeah, the only reason Buddy won is because he got a lucky shot in while Raccoon wasn't paying attention. There's no way this fella could actually be some kind of threat. Jason and Burter go back and forth gaslighting each other for for several moments before Goku was like, hey yo, we out here to dance or throw these ones. And then the two fellas start their attack, flying around the battlefield for an insane amount of time, for like a good 20 seconds before they begin to realize, wait, Buddy ain't flinching. Burter tells Jace, hey, you make the first attack, big dog, I got your back. Then Burter's like, actually, big bro, you swing first, then I'll come in clutch. Both of them do not want any smoke at this point, but they're in way too deep, so now somebody gotta do something. Eventually, Burter decides to make the first moves and fires off a ki blast, which appears to go straight through Goku's body. And then Jace tries to hit him with a, you guessed it, energy blast volley, but each blast seems to go right through Goku as well. Everybody watching this thinks bro must have encrypted them into the Matrix at some point, but Vegeta is the only one that really peeps what happened by looking at the shoe marks on the ground. Vegeta sees that Goku was dodging, but he was doing it so fast and with such slight movements that it looked like dude wasn't even moving at all. This sends Vegeta even further down the hater wormhole, second after second, causing him to realize just how nice Goku has gotten since their battle on Earth. Jace, now tired of the disrespect, gets directly in Goku's face and starts popping off. But before he can even complete his sentence, Goku knuckles up and smashes man directly in his mouth, and arguably one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen in the series. And what made a bad moment so much worse was the absolutely zesty screech dude let out when he got caught surprised by the knuckle sandwich. Whoever the English voice actor is was on one, because that itself took the scene to an 11. I mean, that punch had this man screaming. Burter thinks after smacking Jace that Goku's asleep at the wheel and he tries to make him go night-night. But Goku blocks this, does an amazing looking leg sweep, getting them both out of the way and giving Goku some much needed space. And this is another thing I love about early Dragon Ball. They remembered that Goku was a martial artist. It wasn't all just these rapid fast punches and ki blasts, but it felt like dude was a trained warrior that knew how to move the way he does because of years of combat experience, which is exactly the case. And after Goku got some space, man starts showing out and blows both dudes like 30 feet away strictly off a Ki shout. Man then just holds the pose for a little bit just because he can too. It's like when a dude shoots a 3 and then they leave their hand in the air for a little bit after just because. It's that kind of timing. And I'll tell y'all right now, if all a man has to do is raise his voice to knock me 50 feet away, you can have the fight, bro. I'm walking. Because there's no way the power of your voice should have me getting blown into the local wildlife. This ain't Skyrim, bro. You are not the Dragonborn. Goku would only have to Fusro down me one time before I go back to my ship and never body anybody again. I can promise you that. PB and J start flying around Goku again on a repeat from what they were doing earlier. This time, they try to swing, but right before they commit to the attack, the raw black Air Force energy around Goku makes them stop and reconsider. Watch them repeatedly go in for an attack, and then stop moments before in a loop is the craziest part of this fight. If you are in a situation where your spider sense is telling you, if I touch this man, there may not be a tomorrow for me, I promise you, just listen. Your body's telling you that for a reason. People can call you bitch all they want. They ain't gonna be the ones laying on the floor folded up like a raccoon having to think about everything that led him to this point. Then Jay starts thinking about his life choices, wondering how a dude with a power level this low can really have him looking this weak. Goku must have dug up some childhood trauma for Jace, because Buddy's real upset at being ignored and starts coming at Goku with physical attacks. Burter sees this and joins in, but the fight looks like them fellows are playing in rollback netcode, because 1 second it looks like they hit the dude, then the moment after that it's nothing but air like Shaq's free throw percentage. It's so bad that Gohan was watching on the sidelines thinking, oh, these dudes must actually be soft, because his dad's barely moving and got these boys shook. When you're doing somebody so dirty your son thinks they can bag you, I promise it's time to hang up the gloves. But of course they don't. Eventually they do realize that this approach is not working though, so they decide to go for their special technique, something them fellows is called the Purple Spiral Flash. The move is as garbage as the name implies. It basically amounts to the two of them coming together and spinning each other around like the Tasmanian Devil on some Cartoon Network stuff, then shooting what amounts to an energy wave volley at the targeted area. And because we all know the success rate on that move at this point, you already know that this thing completely fails, and I don't even gotta tell you. Burter then comes up with a plan for Jace to use his signature Crusher Ball technique he developed from watching Haikyuu with the fellows on the weekend to get Goku to jump, right? Then he'll sneak behind and end his whole career. Jace is like, "You bet, Mike, this sounds like a plan." And after hearing this, I'm like, I beg your pardon? What part of this sounded like it was gonna work? Because up to this point, dude has shown you that he is faster than both of you combined, and he can literally deflect whatever attack you send his way. Why do you think all of a sudden Jace is gonna have the cojones to send a strong enough attack this fella's way to not only make him fear for his life enough to move, but to jump straight in the air, not fly, so you'll somehow have enough time to sneak behind and do him dirty? Whatever, man, we knew from jump these fellas wasn't playing with a full deck. As expected, they tried the plan. It absolutely in no way, shape, or form works. Just like I thought, Goku deflects the blast and it almost kills Burter with it because of course, and now they want to sit there and stare at the man in shock. Burter is beyond done at this point and asks Goku just what the hell even is he? Goku responds that he's a Saiyan from Earth, but Burter says that this has to be crap because he's played pickup games with Saiyans and ain't none of them faster than him. Goku tells him that it must be his diet, and this answer gives Burter heartburn, so he decides to just end the convo and tells Goku that the only thing that's about to be a part of his diet soon is his fist. I can't lie, the buddy was kind of cooking with that line. That one made me laugh. Burter tries extra hard to get his rocks off, throwing punch and kicks and strike combinations, everything he possibly can to try to lay a hand on Goku, but it's just not happening. Jace jumps in too, but only makes it worse, as their uncoordinated assault leads the two of them into getting in each other's way, eventually landing blows on each other instead of Goku. Eventually Goku gets bored and he's kind of done with it, so he kicks Burter halfway across Namek, elbows Buddy in the back so hard it crumbles his armor, but catches him before he hits the ground and dies with the same move that he hit Nappa with. Then he tosses Buddy in the mud. And y'all, the way Burter's face was looking after that elbow drop hit was unreal. Like Buddy's mouth was wide open, tongue was out, slobbering, the whole nine. If the fight wasn't over after that, my pride wouldn't have let me continue regardless. After he fades Burter, he tells him and Jace that they need to stop the cap, that they should have realized that this fight was a wash from jump, and now they can only blame each other for how insane they're looking right now. Goku was in his super villain bag against these fellas, man. It wasn't enough to break the body, dude has to destroy your soul too. People always talk about how nice Goku is, but if you actually peep what he does throughout the series, you gotta kind of watch that take a little bit, because dude is pretty damn ruthless in a lot of situations. And not even saying that he shouldn't be, it's just kind of weird the reputation that he seems to have with people now, because in real life, bro is not just a friendly dude like that, especially when hands are involved. After bearing witness to the unmitigated whoop-ass Burter just got put on him, dude decides that they ain't even homies like that for real and heads out to let Poppy again, you know that there's a new sheriff in town and the force is gonna need to start putting out some recruitment ads on Indeed ASAP. As Jace makes his escape, Vegeta tells Goku, yeah, it's all well and good that he came through and put Raccoon and Burter down like that, but he's a fool for letting Jace fly off and he still needs to finish the job when it comes to the two he just mentioned. Goku reminds Vegeta how Krillin could have buttered his toast on Earth, but he didn't, so he needs to pull his voice down a little bit and relax. Vegeta says, alright, bet. Then out of nowhere, he starts geeking and literally jumps on Burter's neck while he's unconscious, killing bro while he's knocked out, and shoots an energy wave directly into Raccoon's cheeks and sends him straight to King Yemma's lobby as well. They all look over at Vegeta like, what are you actually on, bruh? And then Vegeta starts popping off on Goku, telling Mans that he's too soft and there's no way he's a Super Saiyan. Because you know that's what on Buddy's mind all day and night at this point. And not only is Vegeta salty at Goku, but he also believes they're up Snake Way without a paddle because Frieza has been in possession of the Dragon Balls for a hot minute now and he must have made his immortality wish. Krillin says that he thinks they might be good on that though, making mention of all the environmental changes that come when a wish to the dragon is made on Earth and how nothing happened like that while they've been fighting the Ginyu Force. Goku also makes mention of the need for a password to using the Namekian Dragon Balls. How the hell this man knows this is beyond me. Goku this episode just has been exhibiting some absolutely insane clairvoyant powers, and I am omega curious as I make my way through the Dragon Ball manga if a lot of this weird ish is actually canon or if it's mostly all anime filler nonsense, because I'm really starting to lean towards the second one. While the Z crew have their discussion, Jace informs Ginyu about the need for more recruitment posters, tell him about how this random orange dude came and deaded half their squad, so their pose game is going to be all kinds of out of whack for the foreseeable future. Enraged at the loss of his homies and low-key pissed that now he's got to get up and clean things up directly, Ginyu heads off with Jace to have a face-to-face with this Goku individual. With Ginyu and Jace quickly rolling up on the scene, the Z homies have to start coming coming up with a plan quick. Goku asks Krillin and Gohan to use their Dragon Radar to grab the Dragon Balls while he holds off the remaining Ginyu Force. And I use that term loosely because I'm not sure if the two-man operation qualifies as a force, but I'm gonna let him cook. Goku looks over at Vegeta and asks if he'd be willing to team up with him to fight off Jason Ginyu, and everyone's surprised, Vegeta actually agrees without skipping a beat. Hesitantly, Krillin and Gohan fly off on their mission, but they're quick to point out to Goku that he really should not be trusting the Prince of All Four Heads like that. And quick shout outs to the homie in the comments for that. I've been dying since I read that one. Goku starts walking over, getting ready for the smoke, when all of a sudden this ragamuffin Vegeta just flies off in the air, laughing his little baby torso off, leaving Goku to deal with Jason Ginyu by himself. I somehow completely forgot about this part. It for real caught me so off guard and had me like, wow, so this is really the type of time in Namek Vegeta is on, huh? I truly forgot how much of a raw villain this man is, bro. He's an absolute piece of work. Last time we left off, Goku arrived on the scene and was showing Berter and Jace exactly why he's that guy. Barely using an ounce of his real strength, Goku proceeded to make child's play out of two of the galaxy's most elite warriors before finally deciding that he was bored and hitting Berter with the two-piece of the century, leaving him assed out in the mud while his supposed comrade Jace left him for dead to tell Daddy Ginyu what just popped off, while Jace was letting Ginyu know that the Force is going to have to come up with a whole new set of choreography and open up those Ohio Means Jobs applications real quick. Vegeta went demon mode and snapped Berter's neck while he was KO'd and shot a hot one in Raccoon's cheeks, making sure the two would never be heard from again. Before Goku and the gang could even properly ask Vegeta what was he on, Jace arrived back to the scene with Big Papa Ginyu to show his uppity Saiyan just how outclassed he really is. Thinking fast, Goku asked Krillin and Gohan to track down the Dragon Balls while he and Vegeta put some hands on Jason Ginyu, thinking that Vegeta's recent power boost after eating the perk 30 Goku gave him earlier should help level the playing field. Vegeta's like, yup, I got you. And then the moment everybody starts squaring up, Vegeta hits the Danny Phantom and goes ghost, leaving Goku behind to deal with Ginyu and Jace by himself. This man was a straight villain in this arc, boy. I cannot tell y'all how much I low-key miss the devious ass Vegeta who was only out for himself. If your name was not Dragon Ball, this man did not give a damn about you, and I can't help but respect the dude's dedication to the cause. The moment the Prince of All Backstabs runs out the cut, Ginyu comes charging in with an elbow directly to Goku's mouth. Then Buddy disappears around his back and tries to karate chop dude on some Captain Spock Star Trek type energy. Goku ducks out of the way of that nonsense and the two start trading blows back and forth before Ginyu gains some distance on him. But then Goku tries to kick this man and he all of a sudden disappears into thin air. It gets eerily quiet for a little bit. Then out of nowhere, Ginyu emerges from the Namekian soil like a Diglett from Pokemon, socking this man square in his jaw before charging after him again. Please don't ask me the mechanics of this move or how he managed to pull this off, because I swear to this day, I am still trying to figure out how Buddy was navigating underground like that. And I gotta tell y'all, probably the best part of this entire scrap is the random ass Looney Tunes type beat moves Ginyu is hitting this man Goku with. Captain Suckass does a little cute spinny spin off a local Namekian tree before he kicks Goku about 60 feet in the air. Then he follows this up with a literal Tasmanian devil spin before kicking him yet again and watch him fly into the water. Captain Ginyu the type of dude to beat my ass and have me lying to my homies telling them that I got jumped by like 6 people out of embarrassment, because I refuse to tell them that this is the dude that knocked the taste out of my mouth after seeing what type of timing he's on. Goku quickly realizes though that despite this guy going Toontown on him, he is the real deal and he might have to hurry up and take off the kid gloves or Frieza's gonna make it to the local Namekians for that wish. While Goku's about to go to work, we see Vegeta flying as the bad vibes and mustiness he's giving off scares the local wildlife. Buddy is internally patting himself on the back as he makes his way to Krillin and Gohan, talking about how much of a genius he is for leaving Goku by his lonely to get manhandled by Ginyu and Jace so that he can follow Gohan and the monk to the Dragon Balls, wipe them off the map after they lead him to him, and then make his wish. I've never seen a grown man so proud of themselves, y'all. Namek Vegeta is pure jokes. Shortly after Vegeta's Cap compilation, we return to Goku and Captain Crunch, who are deciding that it may be time for the both of them to actually get serious about this fight. Ginyu lets Goku know that he's aware of his ability to raise and lower his combat ability at will, and lets Goku know that he's got the same ability. Then he fires off what the DBZ games would call a Milky Cannon, but what I'm just gonna call a standard energy wave. One thing I wonder was how the Budokai series decided to name this man's moves. They got this man out here firing off Milky Cannons and Parmesan showers. His whole move list has my stomach hurting, but I digress.
Editor here to quickly explain why Ginyu's moves are named after dairy products. It's because the Ginyu Force themselves are all named after dairy products. Ginyu means milk, Raku means cream, Berta means butter, Jice means cheese, and Golda means yogurt, hence why all his moves are named after dairy products.
Ginyu fires off his cannon and Goku dodges. The two then exchange blows for a quick minute until Goku ascends into the air. It's at this time that Australia's greatest shame, Jace, fires off a blast that catches Goku off guard, allowing Ginyu to take this opening and put Goku in a half Nelson. Jace starts gleefully shouting to the captain that they did it and the captain should blow the Saiyan's back out pronto. To everyone's surprise, Ginyu lets Goku go and tells Jace that the only one who's gonna get their back blown out is him if he ever decides to interfere with his fight without permission. Jace says, "Oh, okay, say less," and sits on the sideline like a scolded dog from this point on. Ginyu tells Goku that he knows that he has been holding back his power, likely in an effort to conceal his ability from Lord Frieza. But Goku needs to realize that if he does not start powering up now, he's not gonna live to see that man in person regardless. Goku stares at the purple menace, is like, damn, you low-key right, and starts powering up, showing Ginyu a glimpse of his real ability. Jace and Ginyu stare in awe as Goku's combat ability soars past 100,000, and they realize just how hopeless this battle actually was the whole time. Then they start popping off about how Goku is the legendary Super Saiyan, the only thing that Frieza-sama has ever feared. Goku says that this is the second time he's heard about this nonsense. He doesn't know what the hell they're on about, but he's gonna give Ginyu one last chance to get his zesty bloomers off Namekian soil before things start to get real critical. Ginyu's like, alright bro, I gotta admit, you kinda nice, but seeing your full power is exactly what I've been waiting for this whole time. Ginyu then cuts a devilish grin before the scene moves to the Namekians preparing for the arrival of the evil Frieza to Guru's hideout. The Guru draws out Dende's latent ability and has him hightail it to the Earthlings, who now appear as though they might be Namek's last hope to survive Frieza's onslaught. Frieza hits the ground at the Guru's place, steps out of his Segway, and is greeted by Nail. Frieza tells him that he's here for the Dragon Balls, and Nail tells him, sorry buddy, I can't hear you over the sound of this ass whooping you're about to get, and we don't hand over the Dragon Balls to genocidal maniacs around these parts. Nail also lets Short Stack know that the Guru is the one who's the creator of the Namekian Dragon Balls, so if Frieza tries any funny business with the Elder, his hopes of making a wish are as good as finished. A curious Frieza blows open the roof housing the Elder Namekian to confirm the truth of Nail's words. The Guru also states that he will not be telling Frieza a thing, and that he should be careful about talking spicy to Nail, because out of all the hitters they have on the planet, Nail's that guy. Nail tells Frieza that they need to take the fight elsewhere to avoid damaging the Elder. Frieza, in all his devilish ways, tells Nail that the fight really ain't about to last that long, so he sees no point, but he'll play along for a bit. Eventually, Frieza grows tired of Nail stalling and tells him that right here looks like a fitting grave for him, and the two touch the dirt. Now, something worth commenting on right here is in the manga version, Nail and Frieza get right to throwing them ones, but in the anime, during this time, 3 random-ass jobber Namekians come out the cut and surround Frieza, telling them they don't like his kind around here. Nail prays to Porunga for these chuckleheads to leave, but they insist on staying, telling Nail that he's a glory hog and only wants the accolades for taking down Frieza for himself. Before Nail can even tell these fellas to skedaddle, Frieza sucks him up, pause, in this crazy ass whirlwind technique, and then shoots out some weird ass pink psycho energy into it like he's M. Bison, and folds these boys up quicker than fresh laundry and sends them packing faster than they arrived on the scene. My favorite part of this though is how every time Frieza asks one of the Namekians the password to activate the Dragon Balls, each of them fellows go no habla inglés and start acting like they're deaf faster than homie can get the question out. I need a squad in my life half as real as these Namekians, boy. No matter how outclassed they were, each of these dudes were down for the cause. Now the anime version of this fight gets drawn out mad long for no reason. If I'ma keep it a buck, not to mention how weird the actual fight is in the anime, Nail and Frieza just spend hella time chopping it up and looking at each other crazy for zero purpose. But the part that had me shook the most was when Nail pulls up on Frieza, then Frieza literally two-hand taps Buddy's torso. All of a sudden, dude's whole chest cavity starts expanding and swelling up like he just got the craziest boob job of the century before he deflates again and goes flying across the dirt like a pop balloon. I was speechless, y'all, because in the manga canon version of the fight, these two fellas just go straight to work. Nail pulls off his overcoat and begins key charging. Frieza comments on Nail's power level, admitting that it's well above the other Namekians, but is absolutely eclipsed by what he's capable of, and he would do well to end the whole charade now. Frieza tells Nail that he'll even only use a single hand to level the playing field, as this should help make things more interesting. Nail, getting real sick of the dwarf's lives, charges in and lands a direct karate chop on Frieza's neck. Why everybody in this arc's go-to move is the neck chop is beyond me, but that's besides the point. The attack lands and it does absolutely zero work. Frieza's quick to let Nail know this too, and using only his left arm, pulls the dude's entire arm off up to the damn forearm and elbows him in the gut for good measure, just to remind him to never try that nonsense again. But in the flash, Nail quickly regenerates the arm and is ready for round Chiaotzu. Frieza peeped this and is low-key impressed, but comments on how pulling that maneuver off has left a big dent in Nail's energy level, and a fight that was already impossible before just became even more unlikely. Nail puts the Dukes back up though, determined to hold off this demon for as long as he can while Dende makes his way to the humans. Finally getting around to reading the series, it's so crazy learning what is originally part of Toriyama's vision versus anime-only extras. And it's not like I'm even hating on the anime-only stuff. It's just wild how much faster things move in the original story, as well as realizing all the dialogue that got changed, making Goku out to be more of a heroic figure when in reality, dude is just low-key an alien that really likes to throw hands and isn't concerned about being a savior. After Nail gives Frieza a hand, we then return to Ginyu, who's still riding Goku's nuts about his power level. Goku's like, yeah bro, I know I can wash you, so why are you smiling like that? Buddy then has Jace hold his beer and inflicts an absolutely life-altering injury to his own ribcage. Goku's reaction to this had me so weak because he just starts staring at Ginyu like, hey yo, this man is bugging. When you do something so wild that you leave Goku of all people speechless, you know you're cooking up something absolutely crazy. Before Goku can decide whether he wants to run from this man or not, Ginyu spreads his arm and shoots his milky beam directly into Goku's mouth. The two share an intimate moment for a second, staring into each other's eyes until Ginyu finishes and releases. Moments after, we hear Goku's voice, but something's off. It takes little bro a minute until he realizes that he's purple and is now staring across the field at himself like that one Spider-Man meme. Goku is mad confused at this point, asking, hold up, I know them Senzus be hitting, but I must be bugging right now. Ginyu tells Goku that he better get a grip and look after that nasty wound he's got, because he has to make it back to Lord Frieza, who probably got that Wi-Fi password from the Namekians and is ready to make that wish. Goku can't believe that he really just got finessed for his whole entire body. Dude starts thinking about what Ginyu's gonna do to Krillin and Gohan once he rolls up on him with his body, but not only that, this dude starts thinking about what his wife's gonna do when he rolls up to their marital home with some horns and a purple pipe. As Goku slowly comes to grips with the fact that he will be getting no cheeks for the remainder of his life, we return to Bulma's hideout where Krillin and Gohan just busted in and needed the dragon radar. Bulma's pissed, asking where the hell these two Smurfs have been the whole time. She saw all 7 balls together ages ago and assumed that they made the wish and it was time for them to get off the planet. While Krillin gets heated at the fact that him and Gohan just barely survived getting clapped by Rain Man, Gohan low-key ignores her, peeps the radar and tells Krillin he found the ball's location and they need to be out ASAP. Before Gohan leaves though, he lets Bulma know that his pop touched down on the planet. Bulma asks if homie's looking stronger than before and Gohan gives the green light before scooting out. Moments after, we see Bulma looking out to the Namekian landscape, thinking about how strong Goku has become after all this time and all the years she has wasted being on and off with Yamcha, as she silently wonders if she may have fumbled the bag immensely. To be real with y'all, it's hard to even say because I can't lie. Toriyama made Dragon Ball mirror real life to a T, because it's always the independent baddies that end up with absolute bums, and both Goku and Vegeta are scrub tier partners if I've ever seen it. The Saiyan bedroom game gotta be crazy to make up for how low-key worthless these two dudes are outside of fighting, because they ain't bringing nothing else to the table. As Bulma contemplates her midlife crisis, we return to Frieza's ship where Vegeta's getting mad comfy, changing his clothes and lounging around the place like he's paying bills around there. He decides to suppress the energy from Gohan and Krillin while he lies in wait for them to summon the dragon so he can murk him and make the wish for himself. Right on cue, Larry and Curly show up and use the dragon radar to dig up the balls. They briefly think about all the ass beatings they took to get to this point, then Krillin raises his hands and uses the dragon invocation they use on Earth to summon the dragon. They wait a few seconds in anticipation, but nothing happens. The two then panic as they start to realize that the way you summon the dragon on Namek may be different from how it is on Earth. But before they can contemplate a new plan, they feel 2 evil energy readings heading directly towards them. Gohan and Chrome don't prepare to hide, but they stop in their tracks when they realize that one of the energy readings they picked up appears to be none other than Big Papi himself, Son Goku. Krillin, like the absolute mark he is, comes out of the wood ready to dab Goku up, completely going against his instincts a moment ago that the energy felt off. Dude starts cooking up Jace, asking if little bro decided to switch sides after he ran Grimace through the mud earlier. Jace is ready to knock dude's head off, but Ginyu asks how they knew about the balls and if they made their wish. Krillin asks Goku if he suffered a concussion from the fight with Ginyu and reminds him of the dragon radar, but tells him that they had no luck summoning the dragon and that the invocation may be different from what it is on Earth. Krillin moves in closer, asking Goku why the hell he's wearing one of those weird energy reading devices, and Ginyu Rot uses this moment to slap Krillin across the field for acting too familiar. Gohan then screams out the cue ball that whoever that is absolutely not his pops and that the energy is all off. Ginyu realizes the jig is up at this point and declares to them all that he performed a body change with Goku and he plans to use his power level of almost 200k to put their heads on a shish kebab to give to Frieza. Vegeta watches from the sidelines as Captain Goku Goku tries out his new body and attempts to beat the brakes off these two Earthlings, thinking to himself how no matter what's happening right now, that is still Kakarot's body, and he doesn't have time for those kind of headaches right now. As Gohan and Ginyu attempt to fend off Captain Kakarot, Purple Goku floats his half-dead self into the frame and yells out to Gohan and Krillin to piece him up like they never met him before, and that even though it's his body, they can take him. Goku points out that experiencing the body change has taught him that just because they switch does not mean they have full control over the new body, and that he's willing to put money on the fact that Ginyu's mind-body connection is so out of whack that he couldn't even draw out half his body's power. Ginyu tells Goku to shut his purple ass up and watch him cook as he begins ki charging. As he finishes, he asks Jace to tell everyone what the reading is, and he's told that it's only 23k. Krillin hears this like, oh damn, this might be my only chance in my life to run Goku's fade, and nails Ginyu in the back of the head and knocks him off balance. Krillin tells Gohan to square up and to harness the rage he felt from each and every ass whooping he took waiting for Goku to show up on the battlefield to save the day. Then who should show up out of the cut but the Prince of all sneak attacks, Vegeta, who now decides that it's time to put the moves on Jace while the math is mathing and he's fresh off his Zenkai boost. And right here, homies, is where we're gonna call it. Talk to me about Lord Ginyu. I can't even properly put into words how stressed out this part of the story had me as a kid. I remember watching the anime when I was younger and really thinking that Goku was gonna be purple and half naked for the rest of the series, and I almost quit watching altogether. And the pacing of the anime being so slow and dragging the section out for episode on episode made the whole thing feel that much more hopeless. Last we left off, Ginyu was rolling up to his homies and the remaining Ginyu force, half dead, in the hopes of motivating his squad to let them know that the imposter Goku has 0 hands, and that if Gohan and Bruce Willis work together, they have their once-in-a-lifetime chance to actually win in a fight against him. Krillin hears this and takes a stab at it, bopping false Goku in the back of the head and confirming that he is indeed softer than a Drake album, and that they are safe to run the ones. Then who else should come out of hiding at this time but Lord Vegeta-sama, deciding that this would be the perfect chance to get his get back on Jace while he's fresh off that perk 30 he got from Kakarot, and the Zenkai boost is still in full effect. Krillin and Gohan waste no time putting Ginyu through the ringer, swinging on Buddy like crazy and getting a nasty shot off that sends dude flying into Frieza's spaceship. Ginyu is in pure shock at the ass beating he's taking and decides to fire off a ki blast in the hopes of wiping Gohan off the map so he can deal with Woody Harrelson alone. To his shock though, Gohan is able to tank the ki blast after putting up his guard. Not only that, little dude then proceeds to mock Ginyu's attack, telling him that it was light work. Then to make matters worse, Uncle Krillin rolls up behind him and is like, what did I tell you, stupid? You soft and you can't even use that body. Now hush up and let me body you real quick. While Ginyu is receiving the most disrespectful ass whooping of his life, Jason the Prince of Cap are going toe to toe next door. Two exchange hands, and after taking a shot to the face, Vegeta starts smiling and is like, I know you think you're nice right now, but how about you use that scouter and get a reading on my power level real quick for the one time? Jason's like, shut up bro, I already read your power earlier and it was earring backs, but I'll run it again just to shut you up. He then takes the reading and is shocked by what he sees and does a DBZ classic, destroying his scouter, saying that it must be broken and that the reading is off. I can already hear the funeral bells chiming in the distance. While Jason's in denial, Vegeta starts on his BS, telling Jace about how much stronger he got recently, and not only that, but this ain't no regular everyday power boost. Vegeta says that he has now become the thing that Frieza fears the most, the legendary Super Saiyan. Can we please add another one to the cap counter again, Seth? Bruh, the amount of premature Super Saiyan call-outs that happen in this arc from Vegeta especially gives me straight heartburn. Dude is convinced that because he caught a few Zenkai boosts that he is now the stuff of legend and is unable to be messed with. In a few episodes when Frieza starts blowing his back out, that tune might change real quick. But for now, I'm just going to let the man live in his delusion and continue with the story. Jace exclaims 100% correctly that Vegeta is full of hot air and the man is definitely not a Super Saiyan. Vegeta didn't take too kindly to this and sticks his size 7 Mickey Mouse boot up Jace's chin, karate chops the man in the side, shattering his armor, then smiles before unloading the craziest facial of all time into Jace's mouth and in the fight. Ginyu and everyone else hear the commotion coming from the other direction and look over in shock, realizing that Vegeta finished off Jace. Goku tells Vegeta that he was clearly stronger and didn't have to go that far, to which Vegeta replies with an emphatic shut up. Then Vegeta looks over to Gohan and Kamen and asks why the hell is this fake Ginyu still breathing? Piece of work is like, alright, if y'all ain't gonna push his muffin cap back blue, then I'ma do the honors, and proceeds to hit Goku with a 3-piece combo. I know this man Vegeta has been dreaming about this for months. This man Vegeta sticks his entire hand into Goku's rib cage, knocks the dude 50 feet in the air, flies up to meet him, and then hits the dude with a double axe handle tornado from hell, sending him crashing down like a meteor back on that hard-ass Namekian dirt. I promise you Goku was watching this with tears in his eyes, thinking about how much brain damage and eternal bleeding that combo just caused his body. That combo probably the reason Buddy acts the way he does in Super. Man lost a good 40 IQ points off that combination alone.
Kakarot, stop punching him and use your darn head!
What? Oh, okay.
Vegeta then prepares for the finale, shooting himself down from the air in a Superman pose to turn the rest of Goku's organs into baby powder. Now right here is another section where the anime and manga change up a bit. In the manga, after Vegeta force feeds Goku that combo, he goes right into a superhero pose ready to put Ginyu Kunite Night. But in the anime, we get a whole filler section where Goku briefly wakes up from his coma and fires off a Kamehameha for no damn reason and misses Ginyu, destroying untold amounts of local wildlife just to pass back out and talk about his batteries low. Then we're treated to a good 3 to 4 minutes of Vegeta giving Ginyu the ass whooping of a lifetime. I'm talking 4-piece, no biscuit, hold the drink. Man is out here comboing Buddy, dragon throwing him, and you know he had to get in a good energy blast volley in there just for a little razzle dazzle. The whole time Ginyu's going this man into beating him into the dirt further, taunting him like, yeah, I guess your mama was right. And for some reason Vegeta is having a severe low IQ moment, not realizing that Buddy is not defending himself whatsoever because he's ready to steal his body the moment the opportunity arises. Finally, Ginyu decides, yeah, I had enough of this washing for one day, and attempts to body change Vegeta. Goku peeps what's happening and moves faster than he ever has in his life, intercepting the body change beam and returning to his normal, critically wounded self before Ginyu could change with Vegeta. I can only imagine the pain Goku was in once his consciousness transferred back to his body. Dude had to have been low-key like, you know what, being purple ain't that bad for real, put me back, because I know the way he was feeling after taking that whooping from Vegeta was crucial. Vegeta is watching this whole circus from midair, absolutely jumbled, trying to postulate the possibilities regarding what just happened. On the sideline, Gohan is the first one to sense that Goku's back in his own body, but the excitement is short-lived because Ginyu has no plans on remaining purple for much longer and has his eyes set on Vegeta for one last body change. The Prince of all confusion is just staring back and forth between Ginyu and Goku, mouth open on his himbo timing, while the out-of-commission Goku peeps exactly what's about to happen, but is now too injured to stop Ginyu from what he plans to do. Just when it looks like Ginyu is all but guaranteed to be the owner of a brand spanking new forehead, a local Namekian frog just minding his own business happens to wander past Goku, who decides, yeah, this looks like a fitting victim, and moments before the change beam reaches Vegeta, the frog intercepts it and we get a quick glimpse of Ginyu's face looking in pure shock, damn near with tears in his eyes, realizing that he and Kermit are about to become very acquainted in mere moments. Seconds later, after a brilliant flash of light, we see Ginyu hitting that Sadako from the ring as he crawls and stares blankly at the ground for a few moments before hopping away from the battlefield. Can y'all imagine the pure confusion that Gohan, balding and forehead had to be watching this with? Because of how the anime's paced, it feels like there's a bunch of time between all this nonsense to process what's happening. But the time between Vegeta damn near putting Goku in a milk carton and Ginyu becoming a vegetable was seconds in real time, and I know they had to have been thinking, just send me back home, bruh, after watching the dude that almost took them out become non-verbal and start crab walking to collect some flies seconds away from pure disaster. In the aftermath of the anarchy that just occurred, the crew run over to Goku to check on his wounds. Goku comments on how Vegeta didn't hold back after realizing Ginyu was occupying his body, and that little man might have enjoyed stomping a hole in his chest a little too much. The Prince of Pain doesn't even bat an eyelash and asks Goku where the hell Ginyu is, pretending like dude didn't even just talk a moment ago. Goku explains that the frog they see bouncing around right now is Ginyu, and that Ginyu they saw living his best life a few moments ago was actually a frog. Vegeta went to public school on this planet, so he still isn't comprehending what Kakarot is on, but decides that if that frog is Ginyu, then it's time for a quick trip to HFIL so he can chill with the rest of his homies where they can all work on their new routines together. Goku tells Vegeta that he's bugging and asks what purpose it would serve to melt this man who has become a literal amphibian with a power level in the single digits. Vegeta takes a second and is like, you know what, you're right. Dude is probably suffering way more than he ever would right now if I took him out anyway. Vegeta then turns his attention to Goku and his cronies, saying to them how easy it would be to smoke that Earthling pack right now if the mood struck him. After hearing this, Krillin starts having some intrusive thoughts about Destructo Disc before he's caught off guard by Goku, who tells him that Vegeta's bluffing. The Prince of Cap smiles and tells him that Goku's right. He's gonna keep them alive for a moment because he still needs some assistance with the Dragon Balls, and as much as he hates to admit it, they might make helpful bullet sponges when it's time to take on Frieza. Vegeta then has them hurry back to Frieza's spaceship to make use of the remaining healing chamber to get Goku back to health, while he gets them suited up in Saiyan battle armor for the upcoming brawl with the universe's greatest terror. I don't know why, but there was some something I always really liked about this part with Vegeta helping Krillin and Gohan get suited up. It's a really small section and not major at all in the grand scheme of things, but watching them get dressed, pause, while Vegeta explains some of the lore surrounding the battle armor and watching them all interact with one another without a battle looming over the scene did a lot for their characterization for me, especially Vegeta, whom up to this point has been not much else other than a scheming, bloodthirsty lunatic with Super Saiyan delusions. After they get dressed, Krillin asks how long Goku should need to heal in the chamber. Vegeta remarks 40 to 50 minutes, and Krillin decides that during this time, he'll make a solo trip over to the Gurus in hopes of getting the password to summon Shenlong before it's too late. Gohan offers to go, probably thinking about how the last thing he wants to do is be left alone with Vegeta, who almost went creepy uncle on him a few hours ago, but Krillin tells Gohan that this is a trip he needs to make by himself, and he goes off to take care of business. As Krillin makes his exit, we cut to Nail, who is easily having the worst day of his life up to this point. Dude is bloody, scarf is messed up, pants are ripped, and his shoulders are hunched over like Charlie Brown after he misses a field goal kick. Across from him, we see Frieza smiling smugly, continuing to press this man about the Wi-Fi password. Here's another moment I gotta point out some differences between the two versions of the story, cause in the anime, they drag out Nail's ass kicking for so long, y'all. They have Frieza straight up torturing this man. At one point, dude grabs Nail by the neck with his tail, then I crap you not, this man hops in the air, lands straight on Nail's nutsack, and the impact is so crazy, dude starts coughing up purple blood. I promise y'all, this was nowhere to be seen in the manga. What happens there is Nail is sick of hearing about this password nonsense, and presumably using the last bit of battery he has left, shoots an energy wave at Frieza in the hopes of catching him off guard and smoking him. Frieza emerges from the smoke, still grinning, asking Buddy what kind of Namekian substances he's on that allows him to be so stubborn. Frieza then hops in the air, teleports in front of Nail, facing away from him, then hits dude with the Hey Arnold Helga Pataki special, putting his knuckles square in Nail's face, who falls backwards screaming out in pain in the combination of power and disrespect. After taking a few moments to gather his thoughts, find his remaining teeth, and relocate his nose, Nail laughs weakly as he tells Frieza it's already too late for him to make his wish, and that Dende has already made contact with the Earthlings to tell him the incantation. Frieza briefly reminisces on seeing the little green boy fly away from him while he was distracted by Nail, and then flies off in the direction of the Elder Guru in a fit of rage, tripping off the fact that not only did he get played by these lower life forms, but he just noticed that the energy readings for the entire Ginyu force have been wiped off the planet, and he may never get to see Ginyu toot that thing up ever again. While enraged, Frieza makes his way to the Elder. Dende and Krillin cross paths and excitedly greet each other. Krillin lets Dende know that they gathered the balls, but they had no luck summoning the dragon using their earth incantation. Dende explains to Krillin that Guru sent him to give Krillin the password, and that they have to speak Namekian to summon the dragon there to be successful. Krillin frustratedly asks Dende why the Elder didn't just give him the password immediately, and Dende tells him that Guru low-key didn't think they'd be able to collect all the balls. A part of me wants to believe though that the Guru saw what was in this man's heart and knew that if he would have got pressed by Frieza or Vegeta, Buddy would have snitched that password faster than you could say please don't hurt me, and the whole planet would have gotten nuked. Krillin is slightly butthurt but can only really say damn, I get it, and then hightails it with Dende back to Frieza's ship, making sure to suppress their power when they arrive. But before Krillin and Dende arrive to Gohan, tell me why they had a whole filler section with Captain Ginyu as a frog making a scheme for the balls, gets spotted by Gohan so he bounces, then starts hashing up a scheme for some Namekian Frogussi when he spots another presumably female frog wearing lipstick who is mad aggressive trying to get his email. Dragon Ball filler is so unserious, bro. I just can't with it sometimes. After the mess, Gohan greets Kingpin and Dende and explains luckily that Vegeta wasn't off that Senzu pack this time, so there was no funny business, and dude is currently sleeping, resting up for the confrontation with Frieza. Krillin tells Gohan that it's time for a scheme of their own, having Gohan and Dende assist him with a stealth mission to snatch the balls from under Vegeta's nose while he's asleep so they can gain some distance, and have Dende help them summon the dragon before Vegeta and Frieza can even register what's going on. Man, y'all don't even know how stressed this section had me as a kid. I was watching the TV literally holding my breath like I was there as they were grabbing the Dragon Balls trying to make their way from Vegeta without getting caught. Part easily took 5 years off my lifespan, but much to the excitement of Little KJM, the plan was a success, and Team Little Man gained some distance and immediately start the invocation process after sensing evil energy moving hella fast towards their location. Then they start speaking in tongues, and then moments later the ball began to glow and the sky darkens and a massive dragon emerges from the balls' location. I say dragon, but Porunga is definitely more of a merman type creature. I always thought his design was so sick, but I gotta ask, why is Buddy so strong for? Like, dude has no reason to be as yoked up as he is. Does dude be hitting the gym and pull-ups and crunches inside the balls while he's waiting to get summoned? I gotta know the routine. They should have just low-key wished for Porunga to come step to Frieza. Man would have gave Frieza a quick ticket to the gun show and wrap up the whole arc in minutes. Alright, let me stop gassing Buddy up though, because it would have been heartbreaking to watch Porunga get folded like an omelet trying to press Frieza. Have dude screaming like Jace did after Goku punched him in the face and then is going to return to his Pokeball ASAP. Porunga states that he's able to grant 3 wishes. Krillin gets mad excited after hearing this and asks Dende to request that all fighters on Earth whom were killed by the Saiyans be revived. Porunga explains that this is not possible, however, and only one life can be returned at a time. Krillin and Gohan start to panic at this point, but before they can continue their Sophie's choice, Piccolo borrows King Kai's Zoom password and makes an aggressive-ass request. Piccolo reaches out to the crew on Namek and requests to be brought back first, explaining how if he's brought back, the Earth's Dragon Balls will return, allowing them to make more wishes. Piccolo's second request is that after they bring him back to life, to teleport him directly to Namek so he can run Frieza's fade. Piccolo explains how it's Black History Month and the spirit of his ancestors have possessed him and contractually obligated him to blow that colonizer's back out. I about had tears in my eyes watching this part, y'all, because the side-eye Tien, Yamcha, and Chiaotzu were hitting this man with could have burned a hole through a diamond. I know the minute this dude got off the line with King Kai, you could have heard a pin drop, and they were probably plotting to jump his green ass 3v1. The thing is though, they low-key just had to sit there and take it because they knew Buddy was right. He just said the quiet part out loud, now they gotta sit there collecting dust, playing with crickets and monkeys. With the first 2 wishes settled, that leaves 1 more to be set in motion. But while our 3 heroes were working through their indecision, Vegeta awoke after sensing immense power level heading their direction, and he immediately recognized it as Frieza. What's more, he looks around and notices that the planet is pitch black. Vegeta exclaims how this planet has multiple suns, so this makes no sense, but before he can finish that thought, he notices a massive roided out mermaid in the sky and wonders if he's actually in hell and he got killed in his sleep. Vegeta then registers that the Dragon Balls are going, that this must be Namek's dragon, and he got played by those meddling Earthlings yet again. Ready to burst a blood vessel, Vegeta moves at top speed and arrives at Krillin, Dende, and Gohan's location, where he's gonna need some answers ASAP. And this, homies, is where we'll stop for today. Bro, stuff on Namek is heating up mad quick. Well, I say quick as long as you're not watching the anime version. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the anime to death. I grew up with it. But something finally getting around to the manga version of the story has shown me is that the pacing of the anime version is crazy. Dragon Ball's got memed on since I was younger for how much things just seem to get dragged out, with entire episodes being spent on characters key charging and the Z fighters having absolutely zero sense of urgency, despite the fact that they're dealing with high stakes, potentially planet-destroying circumstances. I always thought that this was just how Dragon Ball was, but to be honest, it's not really true. If you've been on the fence about it, I definitely encourage y'all to give the manga version of the story a chance, because events just move much faster overall, and it's crazy seeing some of the dialogue and story differences between the 2 versions. One thing that's cool about the anime though is all the little extra scenes help to add some depth and personality to the characters. Little stuff like seeing the Vegeta roast sessions and Goku interacting with Gohan and Chi-Chi go a long way in helping you feel like you understand who the characters are. You don't always get that in the manga where things move so much faster. In the last episode, Eda and Eddie caught Vegeta lacking majorly while he was sleeping. They finessed the Dragon Balls and had Dende use his knowledge of the Namekian incantation to summon Scott Steiner. After finding out they couldn't make a mass wish to summon all their passed away homies at once, Piccolo Jr. gives them fellas a ring on King Kai's banana phone and reminds them that it's Kwanzaa on Namek, and it's only right that they revive him first so he can run Frieza's fate personally for what he's done to his people. In addition to that, if Piccolo comes back, Kami is revived and they will have access to the Earth Dragon Balls, which they can use to revive the remainder of the C team at their discretion. Gohan, more than happy to get his surrogate pops back, relays a message to Dende, who then makes the wish to Big Papa pump, consuming 2 of their wishes immediately. Before they can think of what to do with the third, who else but the Prince of all Tardiness shows up on the scene, more pissed than he has ever been, ready to wipe these scheming, height challenge weirdos off the map. Vegeta begins inching closer to Gohan and the rest of the crew, complaining through gritted teeth how they just blew their last shot to not get ran through the mud by Frieza when they blew those wishes without his permission. Prince then gives Team Little Bro 10 seconds to pray to whatever earth god they worship before he gives them that Nappa special and erases them from this mortal coil. Then, in an act of absolute comedy, Gohan cracks faster than fine china falling from the top shelf and tells Vegeta that they actually have only used 2 wishes and that there's still 1 left. Even Krillin had to look over at little buddy and say, wow, you really just spilled the beans that quick, huh? Gohan is not built like these Namekians, bro. He is not about to take a nail level ass whooping for anybody. Little bro does not care who you are.
I'm here to tell you right now, We don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Hearing this ends up calming Vegeta down quite a bit though, who expresses his giddiness at the prospect of still being able to achieve immortality, and then immediately starts calling Dende out of his name to hurry up and make the wish before Frieza comes and they end up on life support. After a brief scene showcasing Frieza noticing the dragon and making his way at lightning speed to their location, we're treated to a one-on-one with who else but the man himself, Ma Jr., aka Piccolo Jr., aka the Don. Piccolo arrives on the motherland and mentions how his very blood lets him know that this is his home planet, Namek. Bro wants to let out a little tear, but mentions how now is not the time to get sentimental and immediately picks up a crazy power level moving at ridiculous speed. Recognizing that this must be the Frieza character that Kyle-sama was wetting his size 58 Huskies over, he makes an immediate beeline to that location in the hopes of catching them before they can reach Gohan and the others. We then turn our attention to Vegeta and the rest of the crew, who are still extremely hesitant, to put it in the most mild of terms, to give Vegeta his wish for immortality. Vegeta begins pressing Dende even harder, putting his stanky ass Saiyan breath right in the little boy's face, asking him if he wants Frieza to finish smoking the rest of that Namek pack or not, because that is exactly what's about to happen if they do not get some pep to their step and wish for him to become immortal in the next few seconds. After an excruciating bout of indecision, Krillin finally speaks up and is like, look, I hate Vegeta's guts more than anybody in the known universe. He beat my ass, he killed my friends, and has a hairline that looks like the McDonald's Golden Arches. But Frieza appears to be an even worse threat, so he pleads with Dende to do whatever Vegeta says so they can have even the most minimal chance of surviving what's to come. At Krillin's request, Dende agrees, but right as he's about to make the wish, all of a sudden John Cena disappears in a flash of light. The sky lightens yet again, and what used to be the 7 Dragon Balls now resemble 7 stone jawbreakers as they plop heavily to the earth, leaving everyone in the summoning circle absolutely speechless as to what the hell just transpired. Vegeta finally speaks up, asking what happened, and Dende remarks tearfully that the Elder just passed, and as a result, any chance of using the Namekian Dragon Balls for further wishes. Vegeta is damn near at a loss for words at this point. Ultimately, he decides to do what he does best and externalize his problems on others, blaming the Earthlings for getting the jump on him. Right before he can proceed what he was trying to accomplish on Earth, Buddy stops in his tracks like he just saw a ghost. Krillin, noticing that he isn't dead yet, starts looking over to see what has Vegeta so stuck, and to their abject horror, they have come face to face with the monster himself, Lord Frieza. Frieza looks down at them with the most condescending, unamused smirk he can possibly muster, and I absolutely love it. Frieza then remarks plainly how it appears his chance for immortality has been ruined, and it also appears that somehow these losers in front of him managed to wipe the Ginyu Force, the most elite power in the universe outside of himself, off the map as well. Frieza remarks how in all his years he has never been made such a fool out of. After taking a moment to come down to their level, his facade of calmness fades and he expresses his intentions of torturing them all in the most slow and painful way imaginable before beginning his ki charge and showing them all what a mistake they made in making the creature known as Frieza angry. Toriyama was absolutely in his bag in this section of the story. I love how he showcases the kind of individual Frieza is here. At first there's this odd sense of calm that's plastered all over Frieza's actions, but through small things like the subtle changes in Frieza's body language and facial expressions, Toriyama does an excellent job of letting the viewer know that this veil of calm and peace is faker than Bulma's Dragon Ball BBLs, and directly under the shallow surface of this is an unhinged monster capable of doing unheard amounts of damage to whatever he sets his sights on. Before we can get Vegeta and company in full frame sobbing at what they're currently witnessing in front of them, we cut back to everyone's favorite Green Man, who has also picked up on Frieza's ki increasing rapidly, and he realizes he has no time to lose if he wants to interfere with Gohan getting an all-expense paid trip to King Kai's planet. Before he can speed off completely though, he picks up an energy reading on the verge of death and goes to check it out. Lying in front of him, looking worse than Rodney King, is none other than Nail. Nail comments on how seeing another warrior Namekian means the Earthlings made their wish, and he's happy at least one thing went right on the planet that day. Piccolo wastes no time in letting Nail know that he really does not have time on the clock to be chopping it up with dead men, so he needs to bounce before Gohan winds up looking like he is right now. Nail spits some more game though and lets Piccolo know that if he was at full strength and was a complete Namekian, he feels that he may be able to go toe to toe with that monster Frieza. Piccolo's quick to let Nail know a whole lot of good that info does him now, and he has no particular interest in becoming one with that geriatric green bean Kami again anytime soon. Hearing this, Nail makes a proposal. He asks Piccolo to let him get inside of him, and if he does that, his power will increase exponentially, and he may have a chance against Frieza's terrible power. Piccolo gives Nail a major pause, letting him know that he has never let another grown man inside of him in his life, and he has no plans on starting today. Nail laughs this off, telling Piccolo to look at him, and asks Piccolo if he really wants to find out the hard way how strong Frieza is when he could have had the opportunity to get a free power boost with no setbacks. Piccolo processes all this for a few moments, but in the end decides that as much as he she hates it. Becoming one with another man is his best shot at survival against the evil they're up against, and has Nail pinky promise to not tell a soul about what they're about to do. Nail then has Piccolo put his hand on his chest, and Piccolo begins sucking Nail up like crazy. But Piccolo Jr. got that Kirby and things are over in a flash. In a moment, there's no trace of Nail left. Piccolo then gets off his knees, thinks about what he just did, and then out of nowhere starts geeking after realizing the incredible boost in strength he just got. Piccolo starts thinking about how he should have sucked up another Namekian way sooner, because right now he feels like he could take on an army of Friezas. The English dub in particular this moment is absolutely outrageous, because right after the deed is done and Piccolo realizes his newfound power, bro starts shouting at the top of his lungs these positive ass affirmations like his therapist made it his homework to improve his self-esteem.
I am invincible! And I'll show Frieza what it means to face the ultimate Namekian warrior!
It's so funny, y'all. It just sounds so unnatural, and dude is so beyond geeked about it. It's gotta be top 10 DBZ dub moments, and it's one I'm not gonna be forgetting anytime soon. After Piccolo's intimate moment, we return to our heroes who are quickly beginning to grasp the gravity of their situation. Krillin says the quiet part out loud, mentioning how after really peeping Frieza's ki charge, they are effed with a 12-inch pole and they should slap Vegeta in the face for ever acting like they had a chance in hell like this was gonna work out. At this point, Vegeta is still in major denial, and is for some reason convinced that at any moment his transformation into a Super Saiyan is going to kick in like it's some kind of edible. Vegeta then enters Cap City and starts telling Gohan and Mini Nappa that Frieza is actually the one blowing smoke, and with their raised power levels and his hidden Super Saiyan abilities, they can mop the floor with this man low diff. All Frieza can do is chuckle at Vegeta's delusional ass Mighty Duck speech and tells him that he is well prepared to test his Super Saiyan hypothesis, and charges directly towards the Prince of all delusions. To everyone's surprise, and even Vegeta's if you look at his facial expressions, he's able to match Frieza's current power and hold off the charge. Frieza then separates and through gritted teeth admits that Vegeta may not be quite as ass as he originally thought. Vegeta tells Frieza enough with the foreplay though. He wants the main event and asks Frieza to toot that thing up and transform. Frieza's surprised that Vegeta is even aware of his ability to do this, and Vegeta quickly informs the alien menace that his buddy Zarbon spilled the beans as he was getting his cheeks renovated in their earlier squabble. Frieza agrees to humor Vegeta, telling him how his pops was light work before agreeing to show him his transformation. A cool thing that the anime does that the manga doesn't really get into is dive a bit more into King Vegeta and Frieza's relationship dynamic. Watching Vegeta's pops, who is this proud and powerful warrior king, get constantly sunned and high-key bitched out by Frieza on a regular basis, to the point that he promises to make his firstborn son an indentured servant to appease Frieza's whims, does a cool job of setting up the long-running historical conflict between Frieza and the Saiyans, and gives Vegeta's grudge and hatred of Frieza even more weight. And it's also in this moment we get our first reveal of Bardock, who at this point is just a nameless Saiyan warrior who got nuked by Frieza, but as we know in later canon is revealed to be Goku's father and has one of the most badass DBZ movies and backstories in the series period. We don't talk about the second Bardock film that came out. I promise you that version of the story doesn't exist to me, and we can make a whole different video just to talk about how that follow-up movie actually makes Bardock and even Goku in the Super Saiyan transformation so much more whack than what was originally proposed. Right here though, I will give an honorable mention to the original English dub, because in that version of things, Frieza tells Vegeta that he's unable to transform if someone doesn't count down. Vegeta is absolutely in disbelief at the request, but begrudgingly agrees and counts down from 10 to 1 at an absolutely ridiculous pace.
I'm waiting.
Oh, fine. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That made me feel like I was watching the English run of Yu-Gi-Oh or something. It was pure jokes and something I had to make mention of. After Frieza gets his countdown, Buddy flexes his cheeks and blows off his battle jacket. This leaves Gohan, Vegeta, and Krillin just looking at each other like that emoji with a monocle, thinking out loud to one another, is this dude serious? Bro really just took off his jacket, and that's what had us pressed this whole time. But ever the showman, Frieza was just delaying, because then the rest of Buddy's body starts getting absolutely bugged out until eventually bro just transforms into Satan, and the Z Fighters are like, yup, we're cooked. Devilman then lets his soon-to-be victims know that if there were a device capable of reading his power right now, it would be well over 1 million. And to give them a quick demonstration, the man raises his palm and nukes the area directly in front of them, almost smoking Krillin and Dende in the process. But Krillin's day goes from bad to worse, because while they are still trying to process what the hell just happened, Frieza is looking at them from below with a toothy grin, trying to decide which one of these meatballs balls will make the best shish kebab. Krillin must just excrete a pheromone that's like, please smoke me, because he of course ends up first to bat, and in a flash, Frieza takes one of his horns and pierces Krillin straight through the midsection in one of the wildest displays of brutality in the series. Now in the manga, while it's still brutal, Frieza basically just gores Krillin and then throws his ass into the Namekian drink below in a relatively quick fashion. But as we all know, sometimes the animators on the anime version like to add a little extra razzle dazzle, stuff like what we see in the Nail fight and later on in the Spopovich versus Videl fight. In the uncensored version of the anime, Frieza takes his time savoring Krillin's penetration, but he wiggles him around strictly for giggles, letting blood fly everywhere and even gets some on his face, which he promptly licks off in a very self-satisfied fashion. I actually really like the anime's take on this moment. It's definitely leagues more gory than Toriyama's original version of events, but I think it does a lot to characterize the sadistic nature of Frieza and show just what kind of monster he is. He's not only someone capable of absolutely obliterating you, he's someone who's going to take his time with it and enjoy it, making sure he does his best to make it as slow and excruciating as possible. He's the kind of evil bastard that enjoys being feared. Little buddy feeds off that. So deciding to draw out this moment of the anime I felt was really well done and helped to establish Frieza as a cold-blooded maniac who the audience will absolutely love to learn to hate. And not only did the anime take this moment to really establish Frieza, it also made sure to get plenty of blood splatter all over Son Gohan's face for exhibit 692 of why this kid grows up to be a pacifist, for all the people out there that continue to pretend like this little boy is soft for being the way that he is. And I'll admit that's messed up, but despite the absolute horror of what's going on right now, I got a little too long of a chuckle out of listening to Krillin's inner monologue while all this was going on. Buddy's voice is so soft and calm, and it's basically like the record scratch freeze frame of like, wow, this is really how I die, huh? Bet you're wondering how I ended up here. Can't believe I let these Saiyans convince me to get on a spaceship and come to this hellhole look for Dragon Balls. Hope you're enjoying your spa day, Goku. I'll see you in hell. Homie's just resigned to his fate. His voice never reaches above a 2, and the whole thing is crazy and definitely caught me off guard. Also, I'd be remiss if I forgot to tell y'all about Bulma's down bad adventures during this time. While our heroes are literally being killed one by one by the galaxy's most known threatening force, Bulma's on her little side of Namek complaining about a lack of shower, a lack of hair care, and most of all, a lack of a man. It's so crazy to me how the anime leans so hard into Bulma being low-key this boy crazy airhead. Now don't get me wrong, I know in earlier Dragon Ball, Bulma's primary goal was to find a fine-ass, handsome rich man to spend the rest of her life with, hitting cheeks and collecting checks. But considering how the story has evolved, as well as the gang's collective circumstances right now in particular, I find it hard to believe that her kitty would be purring so crazy that she would be on an alien planet with her friends and herself in literal mortal danger, but the thirst is so bad she can only think about how she missed out on some Zarbuzi rather than how they're going to survive this current predicament. She needs to check and see if they got Tinder on Namek. Real talk though, even if they did, pickings are pretty damn slim at this point, so she's going to have to hold that L and hope for the best when she makes it back to Earth. While Bulma's thinking about one type of penetration, we return to Krillin, who just experienced another and is none too happy about it. After going for a swim, we are treated to a DBZ classic, a rage-boosted Gohan who goes on a rampage with a direct assault on Frieza. All Vegeta and even Frieza can do is watch in surprise as Gohan treats Frieza to a flying kick to the jaw, followed by a nasty uppercut. Then little homie begins to tenderize Frieza's meat with some repeated shots to the rib cage, followed by a kick into the Namekian soil. Then Gohan takes a page out of Vegeta's textbook with an energy wave volley. Cue the clip if you don't mind, Seth. Before ending it with a devastating ki wave to Frieza's back. Vegeta is watching this and is overcome with confusion and salt at Gohan's sudden burst in combat ability, cueing yet another one for the cap counter as he begins to ponder if Gohan may actually be the legendary Super Saiyan rather than him. After Gohan's tantrum, Dende reveals that Krillin is alive and breathing, barely, but Vegeta quickly interrupts and tells Gohan that he surely hopes that he didn't think that single assault would be enough to body bag Frieza. Camera then pans to a Frieza getting back up on his feet and looking none too amused. He states to Gohan that it was indeed impressive that he was able to damage him, but it was far from enough to do any real harm, and now on top of it all, he's pissed. Things close with a heated Frieza setting his sights on Gohan and Vegeta, while Piccolo hurries to the scene in the hopes of jumping in before Gohan ends up with that nail special. And here, homies, is where we'll end off. Talk to me about y'all's thoughts on the hero's intro to Lord Frieza. Personally, I think this dude is a fantastic villain. Toriyama and the anime team as well accomplished something special in how they captured both his calm arrogance as well as his terrifying and sadistic power. In the last episode of DBZ, a rage-boosted Gohan laid a quick smackdown on the universe's greatest terror after believing his bald uncle to be deceased after a penetration going wrong. Despite the intensity of the attack, Frieza emerges from the smoke with little more than a few scratches and an attitude that a lowly Saiyan monkey's offspring would dare to give him an early dirt nap. As Frieza sets his sights on the young son Gohan, the prince takes his time to deploy a sneak attack on Frieza, shooting a ki wave at him that lands directly on his back. One thing that got me so mad about this moment was Vegeta acting like that weak ass move he just did was really gonna kill this dude. Like, be for real, sir. Look at everything y'all have already tried to throw at this man that did absolutely zero work. But for some reason, this ki blast you shot that doesn't even look like you put max power behind it was really gonna be the thing that wraps up this arc. Alright buddy, whatever you say. As y'all likely guessed, that blast did zero work, like anyone with common sense would have suspected. But Vegeta has the nerve to be absolutely dejected that this attack didn't work, taking a black pill and watching Frieza from the sidelines with the rest of the rejects like, it's over bros. Frieza just looks over his shoulder and blows a kiss at Vegeta like, no need to rush boo, your turn's coming up soon. Then he returns his attention to Gohan, who's about to have the worst day since he met Raccoon. Gohan tries his best to defend himself, but even with his recent Zenkai's and battle experience, he stands no chance. Frieza smirks and dodges all of his attacks with ease, and when he gets bored of dodging, he begins playing with his food, grabbing Gohan by the hair, kneeing him in the side, then kicking him all over the Namekian landscape. Gohan shoots a ki wave and tries to get some distance from this demon, but he's just too fast and meets Gohan in the air with a tail whip before coming down to the ground and crushing his skull with his nasty ass Komodo dragon feet.
Is this a Komodo dragon?
Yes. What? What kind?
Komodo dragon.
Do you think it is, mate? I don't know. I'm not familiar with all the
Lizards.
Komodo dragon.
bloody thumbs.
The whole time Vegeta's watching this small child get his ass whooped like, that's all you young blood, go ahead and handle business. Bro was looking extra weak here. It was so bad, even the narrator had to comment on it and was like, is Vegeta really going to stay on the sidelines as poor son Gohan gets the worst beating of his life? Tune in next episode of Dragon Ball Z to find out. When you have fourth wall breaks happening to acknowledge how soft you're acting in universe, you know you reached a whole new level of sorry. Bruh, even Frieza looks over at him like, you really ain't gonna do nothing, bruh? Don't you see how I'm dog walking this child? I thought y'all was basically family. The whole time Gohan sitting under his gross reptilian feet in tears, thinking to himself how if he ever gets off this planet, they will never catch him in another fight again. Right as Frieza's about to curb stomp this 5-year-old, Frieza's caught off guard and his tail is chopped off by a familiar looking ki attack. And who else should come to the rescue but Uncle Krillin, who is then shooting off a barrage of Kienzan at Frieza. Frieza's absolutely perplexed at seeing this bald menace alive and well, thinking back on how moments before this, little buddy was experiencing the worst ride of his life and shouldn't even be breathing, let alone able to actually mount an attack on him. The anime treats us with this wild ass game of cat and mouse between Frieza and Krillin that plays out high key like a Tom and Jerry sequence, with Krillin trying to run away before he gets slaughtered by Frieza, and Frieza jump scaring him before eventually the anime catches up with the manga after Frieza destroys the area where Krillin's hiding, and a terrified Krillin fires off a solar flare in hopes of gaining some distance. While Krillin is out doing his best to avoid getting shish kebabbed again, Dende made his way over to the severely wounded Gohan in an effort to heal him before his life force completely fades. I never realized as a kid how bad Gohan was getting trashed, but Frieza was literally crushing this little boy's skull under his feet and was about to crack it like an egg before Unk showed up. Krillin makes his way back over to Gohan, Dende, and Vegeta's location. Vegeta peeped the whole thing and asked Krillin why the hell they didn't mention that little green kid had healing powers. Krillin looks at Vegeta directly in his eyes and asks him if he's dumb or if he's stupid. He points out that they weren't aware little homie had those powers either, and if they were, they would have just asked him to heal Goku rather than putting him in that sorry ass swimming pool for an hour while they get washed by this lunatic. As Gohan powers up, fresh off his Zenkai boost and getting ready for round 2 with Frieza, who else should arrive at the scene but Lord Piccolo, or rather the nameless Namekian himself. It's no secret how weak Vegeta's been looking since Frieza's arrival, but I'd be lying if I didn't say his next interaction with Piccolo didn't have me super weak. A few moments after his arrival, Vegeta registers who it is and is like, hold up, ain't this sorry ass green bum that me and that loser Nappa watched on y'all's planet not not too long ago. So what y'all telling me is that y'all had the Dragon Balls, a near incomprehensible source of power that can grant damn near any wish a living creature can desire, and y'all used it to bring this green, low power level having ass Namekian over here to get his cheeks busted in front of us live in 4K. I should honestly get rid of y'all right now for being so stupid. And while Vegeta definitely has no room to talk when it comes to power levels and getting melted by Frieza, and even though I mess with Piccolo heavily and he's one of my favorite characters in the series, I can't help but low-key agree with what he's been saying. Y'all have seen firsthand what type of time Frieza's on, and y'all saw Goku's power level after he came back from training with King Kai. Best case scenario, Piccolo ends up as strong as Goku when he fought the Saiyans back on Earth, or if you want to be charitable, just a bit stronger. But Goku at his peak got ran through by a solo Vegeta even back then. Now here we are on Namek with a Vegeta who was 100 times more powerful than he ever was when you saw him on Earth, who is now literally even afraid to touch this man Frieza, and y'all thought to yourselves, yeah, you know who could really turn the tide and fold this dude Frieza? My homie Piccolo. As much as I hate to admit it, I would be looking at them the exact same way Vegeta is right now. What's even funnier is in the anime version, we're treated to an increasingly agitated Yamcha, who ever since Piccolo left the planet has been talking real spicy about the Green Man, talking about how he knew it was a mistake to send Piccolo and that they should have just wished him back and he would have taken care of this Frieza guy ASAP. I really wish y'all could have seen my face when this dude Yamcha let that out his mouth. Could y'all imagine how clown shoes it would have been if they would have wished Yamcha back to Namek first and this man got a front row seat to meet Frieza? Dude could literally sneeze in Yamcha's general direction and have him hitting the Family Guy death animation faster than you could say waste of a wish. But back to the matter at hand, Piccolo waves off Vegeta's roast session, telling him that after he puts his Namekian 13s up Frieza's urethra, it's going to be his turn next. Piccolo tells Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan that he's going to take this man on by himself and that the rest of them should just get out the way and let him cook. Gohan and Krillin look at this man like he's insane, but Vegeta just starts busting out laughing like, all right, buddy, the floor is yours. Vegeta is so petty in this arc, man. Dude had me dying just by existence sometimes. Piccolo floats down to the earth and calls Dende out by name, telling him to take cover because stuff is about to start getting real crucial. Dende looks at him like, how does this dude know my name, before chalking it up to the game and get behind a nearby rock. Piccolo wastes no time and starts in for a headlong charge at Frieza. Piccolo's speed catches Frieza by surprise, and before he can put his guard up, he's met with a nasty hook to the face before dodging Piccolo's next attack. Then the two start wailing on each other in a back and forth that looks weirdly even for a fight that was supposed to be a complete washing. Frieza decides to get serious for a brief moment and shoots a ki blast directly at Piccolo. Everyone watching the blast is yelling at Piccolo to start moving his Namekian hey dudes across the soil and get the hell out the blast radius, but instead, this man looks at the blast completely unamused, parks it where he's at before knocking that junk back at Frieza like it's a game of Lethal League. Then for the cherry on top, he fires off a ki wave of his own at Frieza, who looks at the attack in shock and is forced to put his guard up, which he is visibly none too happy about. On the sidelines, Krillin is meat riding like crazy. Little buddy is already booking vacation plans with Marin, talking about how Piccolo's the GOAT, he knew he was gonna cook Frieza, all manner of cap. And the Prince of Salt can't do anything but look at Piccolo with envy and confusion, hitting the same monologue he did with Goku when he came back from training with King Kai, talking about how he just smoked this man a few months ago and now he's sitting here making him look soft as hell and nothing in the world makes sense. Had Buddy starting to wonder if Piccolo might be the Super Saiyan. While Vegeta was in the middle of his existential crisis though, Frieza decides that it might be time to show Piccolo exactly what kind of problem he's dealing with. In a flash, Buddy appears in Piccolo's face and returns that hook he got earlier. He then follows Piccolo into the air as he tries to get some distance and sends him right back down to the dirt, leaving a crater not only in the Namekian landscape, but in Piccolo's ego as well. Piccolo emerges from his dirt nap, spits out the few remaining teeth he has left in his mouth after taking that headshot, and decides that it's time to stop warming up as well. Piccolo pulls another Dragon Ball classic, throwing off his weighted training gear and cracking his knuckles for the upcoming business at hand. And as much as we all know how this next section is about to go for little buddy, a part of me can't help but smile and get hype every time I see him throw off that cape and turban combo and hit that neck tilt for the one time. Frieza watches this, one part impressed that someone had the stones to actually not use their full power against him immediately, and another part amused that these jerks really think that this form he's using right now is all he has left in the tank. Frieza lets Piccolo know that he hopes his homie Vegeta let him know about his transformations, and that he's still got 2 more in him before these losers even somewhat have a concept of what he's actually capable of doing. Piccolo calls Cap, telling dude that there's no way his transformations can make much more of a difference on his current power level. Vegeta can't do anything but sit there in shock and with tears in his eyes because he he's already seen this movie before, and the fact that Frieza has 2 more of those to go makes his tummy hurt. In moments, Frieza begins transforming, and to this day, I do not understand why these fellas didn't just try to throw everything they could at this man before allowing that nonsense to happen. At this point in time, Vegeta's confidence is so shattered that he wasn't even on that type of Saiyan timing where they go, I want to see my opponent at their best so I can test my limits. Dude knew full well that Frieza's a demon. If he was allowed to go all out, their chances of winning are lower than his barber being able to salvage his hairline.
I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do.
What I needed to see was about 16 Destructo Discs, a Masenko, a Gallic Hoe, and a special beam cannon, all aimed at Frieza's ever-expanding cranium, but these fellows would not give me that. Instead, all they did was watch this man completely slack-jawed as he turns into the literal alien from the Ridley Scott films. Piccolo assumes that since he took off his weighted training gear, while his strength may not be able to match up to Frieza in his new form, at the very least he can run from him and gain some distance while he figures out a plan. But just like the horror movie from whence Frieza came, he jump scares Piccolo, seemingly teleporting directly in front of him just as he thought he got away. Then Frieza begins hitting Piccolo with the finger bang of the century, firing off shots at Piccolo literally with his fingertips and filling him up with more holes than Buddy who got turned into Swiss cheese at the beginning of RoboCop. Frieza must have thought he was in Bikini Bottom with all the holes he was trying to put in Piccolo. Next time poor dude regains consciousness, he's gonna be a fry cook living in a pineapple. Gohan is across the field devastated watching his mentor get that red dot special, and without thinking, begins to rush to his side. Krillin, now wanting to see something wild happen to Gohan, attempts to chase after him, but is stopped by Vegeta, who tells him there's no point, and their only hope now is for Krillin to put a hot one in him so he can artificially Zenkai boost and, yup, y'all guessed it, become the legendary Super Saiyan. Mom putting another one up on the cap counter, Seth. While Vegeta is contemplating how to cheat the system, Gohan is doing his best to save his surrogate pops, kicking Frieza in the head to get him off Piccolo's back, and following this up with a key wave at full power. Gohan puts every little bit of sauce he has into this blast, and low-key, it looks like Frieza's days might be numbered as he gets forced further and further back by the attack. But after a short struggle, Frieza regains his composure, forcing the blast back up in the air, causing Piccolo to knock the attack away as they watch it explode in the distance. A badly beaten Piccolo can't help but gas Gohan up, commenting on his vast strength increase since their last meeting and expressing pride in the warrior Gohan has become. Frieza begins thinking to himself how the hell this kid seems to be getting more and more powerful. Then he makes a realization that Gohan must be a Saiyan as well. But for Frieza, the math ain't mathin', because outside of Vegeta and Nappa, there should have been no Saiyans left to father any more offspring, and there ain't no way on Kami's green earth that Nappa or Vegeta managed to get cheeks, no matter what planet they might have visited. He then remarks that the boy bears a slight resemblance to Raditz before ending the thought and deciding that his new mission is to thoroughly eradicate all Saiyan life before they manage to become any more of a nuisance. As Frieza establishes his new mission, we go back to Krillin and Vegeta, where the latter is asking the former to smash his teeth in to gain the Saiyan cheat codes and a fresh power boost. Frieza then announces to the few remaining pieces of life left on Namek that he will give them the pleasure out of the kindness of his heart of seeing his true power and begins his final transformation. Vegeta nearly throws up in his mouth after hearing this and damn near begs Krillin to take him out. Krillin says as much as he hates dude, he can't and they should just wait for Goku. Vegeta doesn't even let him finish the thought, roasting Goku's sorry ass for damn near getting his ashes poured out for Ginyu and reminding them that their ass kicking is about to happen right now. They have no time to wait for a savior. Krillin begins sensing Frieza's immense power and out of fear and desperation fires off a ki blast directly into Vegeta's chest, deciding to give his insane plan a shot. Vegeta smiles as he floats heavily to the ground, waiting to be saved by the little green boy who works miracles. Slowly beginning to realize that the little green boy is in no hurry to get to his position, Vegeta gets up and does his best to hold his internal organs in as he rudely demands for Dende to heal him so he can put a stop to Frieza. Dende looks at Vegeta's forehead, then in his eyes, and exclaims that it would be a cold day in Namek before he tends to his wounds after all the people that he killed. Dende then wishes Vegeta luck with his dirt nap as he flies off to find Piccolo to help him instead. Vegeta looks up in the air in complete disbelief, realizing that he may not even get the chance to get wasted by Frieza, and that his end may just come at the hands of the weaker ball companion he just allowed to inflict that wound on him. If you listen close, they say you can hear the spirit of Nappa giving a light chuckle Piccolo in the wind as Vegeta prepares to enter King Yama's lobby in his final moments. Dende arrives to Piccolo's side as Krillin is explaining to him Vegeta's nutty-ass plan. Dende then begins working on nursing Piccolo's wounds and in moments has him back to full health. Unfortunately though, a certain evil galactic emperor also happened to be watching the whole affair in 4K, and him peeping this will have severe consequences in the very near future. Being nursed to health, Piccolo thanks Dende, but expresses to him that as much as he hates that 4-foot-tall lunatic's guts too, he will be needed in the fight against a true threat and asks Dende to tend to his wounds. Right before Vegeta can drift off the HFIL, Dende arrives and begrudgingly heals his wounds. Vegeta takes to his feet, stretches for a moment, and then proceeds to kick the ever-loving taste out of Dende's mouth before telling him that he's lucky that's all he did, and flies off to face Frieza with his newfound Zenkai. I used to feel sad watching Vegeta take those Frieza back shots, but now I'm starting to think Buddy should have gone in harder. Shortly after Vegeta once again makes yet another premature Super Saiyan call out, an amazing flash of light occurs, and as the dust settles, we're given a clear look at Frieza in his final and most terrible form. Krillin remarks on how Frieza looks a lot less scary the way he is now, at least. Piccolo almost chokes Krillin on the spot, asking him if he doesn't feel the power coming off this menace, and damn near apologizing to them for having them waste a wish on the Dragon Balls for bringing him back, because now he understands just how outclassed he is after seeing Frieza at his supposed best. Before the Z homies can even process and fully fear what they're facing, an explosion occurs behind them. It takes them a second to register, but the blast came from Frieza's fingers, and the victim of the attack was none other than the little goat himself, Dende, who is now yet another Namekian notch on Frieza's belt. Frieza smugly comments that now they can no longer heal, with Piccolo frustratedly realizing that Frieza must have seen Dende heal his wounds earlier. Rage-boosted Gohan is the first to attack, then Krillin and Piccolo follow behind him. But unfortunately, not even plot armor Gohan can save them this time, as Frieza playfully dodges each blow they send his way, even as they all attack at once. After dodging the key waves the three send at him, Frieza vanishes behind them and shoots another beam, this time prepared to put young Gohan on a t-shirt. To everyone's surprise though, Vegeta emerges as a savior and knocks Gohan out of the way before he gets blown into the next dimension. Gohan thanks Vegeta for the help, but Vegeta remarks that it wasn't for Gohan's sake, but rather he wanted to showcase his newfound power, exhibiting his belief that his Zenkai now puts him on the same level as Frieza, and he's finally transformed into what the evil warrior's greatest fear is. A Super Saiyan. Frieza looks on in shock, but this emotion quickly fades and is replaced with a smug sense of amusement as he mocks Vegeta's words and requests that he come test that theory. Vegeta's happy to oblige and charges full speed to bob Frieza a good one, but to his shock and horror, by the time he made it to his position, Frieza was already 3 steps ahead in another location. Frieza comments that this Super Saiyan legend isn't all it's cracked up to be, as we see the color in Vegeta's face change and doubt start to enter his heart at his ability to overcome the obstacle in front of him. And here, my friends, is where we'll call it. I cannot tell y'all how excited I am that we entered the fight with Frieza. For my mileage, this is absolutely an arc that is an anime and manga hall of fame, and there are so many moments that come that I want to discuss with everyone and hear your thoughts about. On the last episode of DBZ, the Z homies were getting their wigs pushed back by the terrible might of Lord Frieza. In a desperate last-ditch effort to turn the tides, Vegeta had Luke Cage inflict a mortal wound on him so that after he was healed, his newly gained power boost might be enough to stand up to Frieza. After being revived and feeling stronger than he ever has in his life, Vegeta approached Frieza ready to declare the fight already won, as he claimed he was now what Frieza feared the most, the legendary Super Saiyan. Vegeta began running his offense, trying to hit Frieza with everything he had, but even at his best, he was no match for Frieza's speed. In an act of absolute desperation, Vegeta gathers his energy and fires a full-power ki blast directly at Frieza, who was looking up at him on Namek's surface. Piccolo asks Vegeta what the hell he's doing firing off a blast that strong at the planet's surface, but at this point Vegeta could care less and is prepared to nuke every damn living creature on the planet if it means taking out Frieza. Frieza is momentarily surprised at the power behind Vegeta's blast, but the shock does not last long as Frieza promptly kicks the blast into the air, leaving Vegeta in disbelief. I just want to take a second to shine a light on this moment too, because the English dub doesn't go into it too much, but in the manga, the narrator expresses how this moment was a turning point for Vegeta. Up to this point, the Saiyan Prince had never encountered a foe that he cannot eventually stand up against. He was a gifted warrior with noble blood, who outside of one lowly low-class Saiyan, had never known defeat a day in his life. But after watching Frieza literally kick the crap out of his most powerful attack, it left Vegeta feeling something he had never experienced before in his life. True terror and despair. Frieza left a fear in Vegeta's heart that struck him to the depths of his soul. This culmination of emotions, the realization that his best was just not good enough, that no attack he could throw out would matter, that his life was in another creature's hands and there wasn't a damn thing that he could do about it, this cacophony of feelings hit Vegeta squarely in his ego, and all he could do after coming face to face with it was cry. cry for the first time in his life. And what precedes this moment is just a pure, unadulterated beatdown. But one thing I really gotta comment on before we really get into it is how the anime version went ham on this section where Frieza starts cooking up Vegeta. I promise y'all, one of the animators or storyboard directors really did not like this, man, because they made sure they took their time really setting up the ass beating this dude was about to catch. They had Frieza knock this boy Vegeta into the water, right? Then this man Frieza stands on a small piece of land and parts the Namekian Sea like Moses as he makes his way over to him. Then this dude Frieza yokes Vegeta up with his tail, and as he lifts him up, this man Vegeta has crabs crawling all over him for some reason. Then tell me why this man Frieza picks up one of the crabs crawling over this dude Vegeta and eats it whole.
Fresh local Delaware runoff crabs. People gotta eat.
Then starts giving Vegeta the back shots of the century. Like, do you know what kind of demon you have to be just to eat a whole crab in a single bite? This dude Frieza was really acting like he was on a date with the prince. Took the man out to Red Lobster, then proceeded to take him home for some back shots. All Buddy was missing was the little cheddar biscuits. Don't even get me started with the back shots either. Frieza was putting everything he had into Vegeta's back. I promise you. Behind Buddy smashing him so hard every hit sounded like artillery fire from a World War II howitzer. Top it off the disrespect Sunday, this man Frieza proceeds to look over at Larry, Moe, and Curly, telling them that they're free to step in and help their boy whenever they feel like. And guess how many of them fellows stepped up to the plate? If you guessed exactly 0, you would be 100% correct. Not a single one of them dudes took a step forward. Y'all, I know DBZ isn't a seinen trying to have a crazy mature story or anything like that, but I really wish this series would have explored how these fellas' experience on Namek shaped them as time went on, because I promise you, I don't care if you are the most battle-hardened warrior in the whole world, you do not go through what these fellas went through on the planet without some type of trauma. Like, the more I look back at everything that popped off on this planet, the more I realize what a hellscape it was. Like, stuff really went down on planet Namek. Pretty much any type of war crime you can name, friends being tortured in front of other lifelong friends, life-altering injuries, watching Vegeta get some Dodussi, just tragedy after tragedy, y'all. Eventually, Frieza goes bored with his pint-sized punching bag and chucks it across the landscape. He acknowledges that it appears Vegeta has lost his will to fight, thus boring Frieza, meaning that it's time to wrap this show up. Before Vegeta catches his final curtain call, though, we cut to Goku, who is now fully healed from his wounds. After emerging from the chamber, Goku is surprised at his own power, remarking on how it even scares him a little bit. Kakarot takes a brief moment to appreciate the breeze on the wind, then moves like a flash over to Frieza's location. The speed of Goku's arrival shocks everyone, but after a moment his friends are able to register that's actually him. Goku remarks on Piccolo's increased strength and apologizes for a late arrival, but tells his homies that he'll take it from here. Frieza moves his attention over to Goku and is shocked to realize that his face looks familiar. Frieza registers him as bearing an almost identical resemblance to the Saiyan he smoked that tried to start an uprising right before he lit up the entirety of Planet Vegeta. What's always been mad funny to me, bruh, is with how much this fella Frieza hates Saiyans, he sure seems to remember a lot of their history, names, and faces. I'ma just let that cook though. Goku tells Frieza that he still has to run Vegeta's fade later, so taking him out is off limits. Frieza shrugs off the disrespect, then proceeds to knock Goku's head off with a flying kick, but Goku is quick to react and puts his blue Grant Stone diesels into Frieza's cheek before returning to their initial locations. Frieza is shocked and impressed at Goku's speed, but then proceeds to test him further by shooting a series of death beams at him, doubting he has any real chance to handle the barrage of attacks. Little does he know that Goku has also trained under Mr. Miyagi and begins hitting him with the wax on, wax off, deflecting each of Frieza's beams effortlessly with one hand. And y'all already know Vegeta was laying on the floor with a tenderized ribcage, absolutely geeked at seeing Frieza getting caught lacking at the hands of a Saiyan. Even at death's door, Vegeta can't help but pop off, taking a few moments to tell Frieza that he is absolutely cooked, telling him how Kakarot is built different and that he may have thought it was Cap before, but he just came up on the real legendary Super Saiyan and his ass is grass. Frieza's run out of patience for the stories of soon-to-be dead men, however, and shoots a death beam directly into Vegeta's heart. In his final moments, with tears in his eyes and casting all pride aside, Vegeta tells Kakarot that if he hopes to finish Frieza, any and all sense of mercy must leave his heart. With the last of his energy, he tells Goku of the history of their people, how their planet wasn't destroyed by some wayward meteor, but rather by Frieza himself. The Saiyan served as his hands and muscles, but he cast them aside in moments out of fear that a Super Saiyan would arise among their ranks and deliver them from their oppression. Vegeta then makes one final request, that Goku defeat Frieza at all costs, as it is only right that he should fall at the hands of a Saiyan. And with uttering his last request, the mighty Vegeta falls on the battlefield. As the battlefield is overcome with an eerie sense of quiet, almost like the calm before a storm, using only the force of his ki, Goku creates a grave for Vegeta. As Goku picks up Vegeta's lifeless body, he expresses how Vegeta was heartless in many ways, but he had the pride of a Saiyan, and Goku asks him to give him some of that pride as well for the upcoming battle. After delivering Vegeta to a proper grave, he turns his attention to Frieza and exclaims that for all the Saiyans and Namekian he's killed, Goku intends to make sure that he destroys them. Piccolo, peeping that things are about to get critical in mere moments, gathers up the monk and Gohan to find a safe location before they end up as collateral damage in the battle of the monsters that's about to occur. Gohan leaves his father with the parting words, "Don't get smoked," before heading out with Piccolo and Krillin for a safe distance. And what's to come is an absolute masterclass in battle manga and visual storytelling. Both Toriyama and the animators who took on the televised version were in top form in this fight, and it can be difficult to explain what makes the fight so good, but I'll try my best. It isn't only the choreography that's on point, because it absolutely is, but it was the masterful build-up and everything that led up to this point that really makes the eventual confrontation between Frieza and Goku shine. What I really think separates the legendary battle manga from the mid or lackluster ones isn't just having cool looking fights, but it's the story being told behind those confrontations. People who don't really interact with Dragon Ball that much look at the surface of it and assume that it's all buff dudes throwing punches and shooting ki blasts at each other and write it off as low IQ entertainment. What they don't understand is that it's the narrative around these battles that get people who care so invested. Imagine if the Namek saga was only made up of Goku and company arriving in Namek, fighting aliens, struggling a bit, and then leaving. Even if all the fights remained exactly as they were, I truly doubt we'd be talking about this series and this arc in particular all these years later. What made each of these battles so significant is the story behind each fight. Watching our heroes first arrive to the planet, being completely outclassed and being forced to run as the villains committed atrocity after atrocity that they were unable to stop. Watching Vegeta explore his history with the Ginyu Force and Frieza himself, the years of silently holding his tongue in servitude of a ruler he despised until he's finally grown strong enough to take the revenge he'd been plotting since childhood. Seeing Goku go from a gifted Earthling to something greater than both his lineage as a Saiyan and a human as he embraces both halves of himself and continually seeks to beat his limits. Each and every win, loss, and draw we've watched these characters experience up to this moment have been fuel to the fire for this confrontation, and it's this build up through the combination of narrative and visual storytelling that made this fight between Goku and Frieza one of the most legendary arcs in shonen manga all these years later. As these two behemoths trade blows, we cut to King Kai, who has his antenna up and is catching a front row seat. The C team is asking King Kai for a play-by-play at what's been happening on the ground. He tells them that Vegeta just got smoked by Frieza low diff, and now Goku's going up the bat. Hearing that Vegeta, the most powerful individual they've seen up to this point, got smoked easy mode by the menace Frieza, left them looking at each other speechless for more than a quick minute. Eventually, Yamcha speaks up and is like, if Vegeta got smoked, then there's no way Goku's gonna be able to do anything. King Kai is quick to inform Yamcha that this actually doesn't seem to be the case, and currently, Goku's going bar for bar with Frieza in a fight that looks dead even. King Kai even has to acknowledge that whatever happened to Goku while he was down there, he is a world apart from the man that came to train with him a little while back, and the dude is fundamentally different. In the past, I always had difficulty finding the exact moment when the side characters became useless, but honestly, I think it's gotta be this part right here. In the past, Yamcha, Tien, and Chiaotzu were always priding themselves on working hard so they could catch back up to Goku, even if he always did just seem one step ahead for a while. But in this moment right here, you can just see the realization on their faces that ever getting to Goku's level is a pipe dream, and their time may be better spent back on Earth looking at a baseball or checking in to see how Launch is doing, because their days as the mantle of world's strongest are long gone. We return to Goku and Frieza, where the latter is acknowledging the former's strength and discussing how they did not think anyone on this universe was stronger than Ginyu outside of himself. Frieza then shoots a Ki that nukes the entire mountain Goku was standing on, and Goku then returns the favor and hits Frieza with a Ki of his own, but Frieza escapes it and knocks Goku headfirst into the water, sending him flying all the way to the bottom till he cracks his head on some rocks. And here yet again is another moment that makes me mourn for the days when they didn't make Goku an absolute numbskull like they characterized him as in Super. Here, Goku realizes that he's outmatched in raw speed by Frieza, so instead of coming to the surface and getting smoked yet again, he spends some time in the water plotting his next move. During the skirmish, Goku peeped that Frieza is unable to sense energy and decides to use this to his advantage. Using his mastery of Ki, he makes two Kamehameha orbs, and he fires the first one into the air to catch Frieza off guard. Then he sends the second one into the air as a decoy. While Frieza is focused on the orbs, Goku makes his way above him and plants both of his size 12 Timbos directly into the side of Frieza's cranium, giving him a permanent tattoo of his treads as he flies 800,000 miles through at least 3 Namekian islands in a cloud of rubble and smoke. Now, anybody else in the universe would be reaching for at least 3 glasses of milk after taking that kind of nasty drop kick. But once again, Frieza showcases to Goku exactly how different he is, shrugging the attack off like somebody threw a pillow at him and giving credit for the hit, telling Goku he ain't taken a whooping like that since his parents. Pretending like he didn't just admit to severe child abuse, Frieza decides that it's time to go on the attack and uses psychic energy to hurl some rocks at Goku. Goku manages to move out the way, but Karma's back in full effect, because now Frieza caught him lacking and caught Goku in a ball of psychic energy. Frieza warns the young Saiyan that he's likely not going to make it out of this one in one piece, and proceeds to fire Goku off directly into a plot of land, and in moments it explodes, leaving a nasty mushroom cloud and all of Goku's homies thinking that the buddy might have just bit the big one. The smoke starts to settle. Piccolo is the first to remark that he can tell Goku isn't taking this seriously yet either, and that they might have to just give him more time before calling anything quits just yet. Just as he mentions this, a slightly scratched but pretty much completely healthy Goku emerges from the attack and flies over for a face-to-face with Frieza. My favorite part of this moment is how legitimately unamused and pissed off Frieza looks that Goku shrugged that attack off, especially in the manga version. He just seems so done with the fight, and this is exactly what he tells Goku. Goku agrees that this is starting to stretch on for a bit too long as well, and they should both get serious before they wind up throwing hands all day. Frieza lets Goku pick if they'll finish things up on the air or on the ground. Goku decides the ground is just fine, so Frieza points him over to a local island when they can begin round 2, this time with the kid gloves off. I know I'm meat riding this section heavy, but another thing I love is the silent moments in between the trash talk. The way Toriyama frames the characters in the scene really makes you feel like you're watching 2 warrior gods go at it, and at any moment, someone could land a blow that will instantly end the fight. I'm also a big fan of the playful trash talk between Goku and Frieza as well. Frieza tells Goku that he's a mighty generous guy, and because of this, he's not going to use his hands at all while fending off Goku's attacks. Goku throws off his training gi, stretches, and thanks Frieza for his generosity before immediately rushing in to try to knock off his head. This fight's so damn good, y'all. Goku rushes in and every attack is delivered with bad intentions. This man wants blood, and every punch and kick from either side looks like if it lands clean, one of them will be going back to their home planet without a head. Frieza delivers a kick to Goku's head and is feeling himself, but in doing so leaves himself open for a throw as Goku grabs his tail and chucks that man into some rubble like this is Super Mario 64. After another exchange of attacks, Frieza goes for a classic and attempts to choke Goku out with his tail. What he doesn't understand though is that Goku has zero problem doing damn near whatever it takes to get a dub if he catches you lacking on the battlefield. He bites this man's Frieza's tail, Buddy wails out in pain, then Goku starts piecing him up until Frieza finally decides he had enough and shoots a hook across Goku's face to get some breathing room. After picking himself up off the floor, all Goku can do is smile as he lets out a quick question. I thought you weren't going to use your hands. And right here, homie, is where we're calling it. Y'all, this section of the story is even better than I remember. It has been years since I watched this battle, and I've grown an even greater appreciation for how well done it is. The story Toriyama and the animators have managed to tell through the combat alone is something that many shonen authors strive for, but only a few manage to achieve. And watching this whole thing play out after all this time made me feel like a little kid again coming home from school to watch Toonami. Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Frieza finally took off the kid gloves and showcased to the Z homies his final form, and shortly after doing so, made an example of the Prince of All Saiyans, brutally torturing the proud warrior before leaving him a broken mess in the middle of the battlefield. Before finishing the job, Son Goku, Namek and Earth's final hope against the universe's greatest terror, made an appearance and in a quick display of power, showcased that he is much different from the Kakarot that first arrived on the planet, and Frieza would not be getting his way so easily. Vegeta, pleased at the sight of a Saiyan putting up more than a fight against Lord Frieza, was quick to comment on his bemusement seeing Frieza finally have to take a fight seriously, and informed him that Goku had finally become what Frieza feared the most, a Super Saiyan. With one final cap leaving his lips, Frieza decided that he heard enough out of the prince for one lifetime and finally ended his royal bloodline. Goku, now taking up the mantle as the pride of the Saiyans, entered into a legendary battle with Frieza in a back and forth bout that will go down in the history books as one of the greatest fights of all time. After raining a series of heavy blows upon Frieza, he finally made Frieza acknowledge his power, forcing him to use both hands in an effort to defend himself when previously he believed this would not be necessary. After quite literally forcing Frieza's hand, Goku also gives him a quick piece of advice. He tells Frieza that he is far too confident, and this inflated sense of self that he has causes him to leave himself himself wide open for attacks that he should not be getting hit by. The irony of Goku imparting this wisdom to Frieza after the way he has been characterized in Super is not lost to me, and only furthers my disdain for Super Goku, who seems to have lost every single piece of character development he gained throughout the series. But back to the matter at hand though, Frieza chuckles at the advice Goku imparted, but once again acknowledges that Goku is strong, astoundingly strong, and gives him one last ultimatum: come to his side and join the Frieza Force as his new muscle, or prepare to be put in an early grave here on Namek. Goku fires back that he doesn't feel like he will be taking either of those choices, and believes that there's a third option Frieza may have forgotten to offer. Frieza laughs coyly, and then tells Goku that it's been fun, but he has grown tired of the fight, and even with the strength Goku has been holding back, he believes this fight will only require 50% of his maximum ability to properly end things. Goku stares at Buddy for a minute, then smirks and tells him to stop the cap, because there's no way he's been holding back all that kind of power. The battlefield remains quiet for a moment longer. Frieza stances up, and there's a shift in the air. Right at this moment, Goku realized that this dude really wasn't lying, but it's too late, because by the time he registered this, Frieza hit him square in the face with the craziest look away elbow of all time. Then dude takes a minute to breathe in the bust ass he just committed before charging back in, leg sweeping Goku, then giving him the Vegeta special, wrapping his tail around his neck before hitting Goku with another nasty elbow square in the midsection.
Why he walking like that?
Goku attempts to go on the attack this time, charging in for a direct assault, but is met with a nasty roundhouse that leaves him flying across the dirt and on his back. It's around this time that Piccolo begins having Krillin and Gohan write their wills, realizing that even though Goku is insanely nice at this point, there is too big of a difference in their reserves of power, and their chance of making it off this rock in one piece just went down to a cool 0. Up at King Kai's place, the C-Team are getting the play-by-play with King Kai's pay-per-view satellite connection. King Kai's sweating out of his quadruple XL t-shirt thinking about the fate the universe is about to catch due to Goku and company's running up on this man Frieza. Tien, not realizing that his permanent vacation on the planet may have just been booked without his consent, smiles and comments that all hope is not lost yet and that Goku still has the Kaioken transformation in his back pocket to even the odds. King Kai doesn't even make contact with dude, not having the heart to let him know that Goku has already been using the tenfold Kaioken technique this entire time just to keep up with Frieza, who was not even at half capacity. After this reveal, we return to Goku, who is knee deep in one of the worst ass beatings of his life. After taking yet another elbow shot from Frieza, Frieza stops his onslaught and launches an attack that lands right in front of Goku. After seeing his whole life flash before his eyes, he takes a second to process and realizes that the attack wasn't intended for him, but rather a momentary display of power, with Frieza slicing up a sizable portion of the planet just to show Goku that he can mop the entire place up at any moment if he decides to get serious. Goku, really starting to realize for the first time that he may have bitten off more than he can chew, decides to go all in on his next attack. Without knowing the potential damage to his body, he powers up with a Kaioken times 20, charging in at Frieza and landing an attack for the first time in a long time against Frieza, who seems to be taken off guard by a sudden burst of energy. After landing a punch that sends Frieza flying, Goku gathers his remaining ki and fires off everything he has into a times 20 Kamehameha that lands a direct hit on Frieza. After a massive explosion and a burst of light from the smoke, we see a Frieza who completely no-sold the attack, nullifying the entire burst of ki with a single hand as he looks down at a completely drained Goku, who is now seemingly out of options. We then cut to Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin, who are all experiencing various levels of stages of grief, watching their last hope get his cheeks busted right in front of their eyes. Gohan and Krillin are firmly in the denial stage, refusing to believe that a monster of Frieza's magnitude is allowed to even exist in this world, while Lord Piccolo has reached divine acceptance. Buddy is literally smiling while watching the fight, telling them that it's over, bros, and this is exactly what they get for thinking they could run Frieza's fate in the first place. As Piccolo starts giving Gohan and Krillin the crash course on mealtime options they can expect at King Kai's place, Goku is dealing with a supremely pissed off Frieza, who is none too amused that a monkey would dare leverage an attack on him that would hurt so damn much. Frieza makes his way to the ground and stares at a Goku who is now barely able to stand. What occurs next is a Vegeta tier washing. Frieza flies in with a headbutt to this man Goku and proceeds to go to town. He kicks Goku all over Kami's green Namek, as Piccolo and company are forced to watch in much the same vein as what happened to the prince earlier. As the beating gets worse and worse, Gohan decides that he can no longer watch and attempts to fly in to help his pops. Piccolo stops him though after noticing something weird about Goku's actions during this time. Piccolo picks up that when he's not on the floor writhing in agony, he has his hands up in the air in a weirdly meditative pose. Krillin recognizes this as the Genki Dama and explains to with Piccolo how it's a secret technique Goku learned from Kaiosama, where he gathers the energy from the living things nearby and turns that into a weapon against evil opponents. With the honesty of a small child, Gohan remarks on how 90% of the planet has been murked, so this spirit bomb ain't gonna be much to talk about if it's just a life on Namek. Shortly after this, the remaining Z homies look in the sky and notice a massive ball of energy that looks like it's at least 150 feet across, sitting in the air menacingly, looking like it's ready to nuke Frieza. One thing that I like quite a bit compared to the manga is the montages of all the various people, places, and things that are contributing to the spirit bomb, and the anime really takes time to show this. It's a little thing, but it really makes the attack feel like it's a concerted effort by the universe to fight back against Frieza and take out a force so evil that it feels like a crime against nature itself. Now, if you were there back in the day, you also know that this ish took forever to get through. I remember being a kid having to watch the show weekly, and it took so unbelievably long for Goku to charge this damn attack. But one thing I gotta give big time credit to is Bruce Faulconer and Faulconer Productions for the absolute banger tracks they put out through this saga and this section in particular. Faulconer's Spirit Bomb theme goes absolutely crazy and made this section with glacial pacing still seem intense and epic despite almost nothing happening. It's hard for me to adequately describe to y'all how iconic some of these compositions are when it comes to Z. As much as I love the original Dragon Ball soundtrack, I also feel like Bruce's work fits it like a glove, and nostalgia hearing stuff like Vegeta's theme Hell's Bells play when I'm rewatching the show takes me right back to my elementary school years in a way that few things can. After noticing the bomb in the air, Piccolo demands that Gohan and Krillin give him their remaining ki. He has a feeling that the attack is not going to go unnoticed by Frieza for much longer, and wants to do what he can to serve as a distraction for as long as possible, while Goku gathers the energy he needs to put an end to things. On the ground, Frieza is finally reaching the limits of his patience watching the Saiyan monkey raise the roof while he runs him through the mud. Much like Master Chief, Frieza prepares to finish the fight. For real this time, knocking Goku in a local pool of water and getting ready to run his fade as he emerges to the surface. But Frieza notices something strange in the water as he makes his way over to exterminate one of the last of the Saiyan race. He notices the reflection of a strange orb in the water and is mad confused because he knows it's not Namek's son. Frieza then finally looks into the air and notices an absolutely massive ball of energy hanging over his head and begins to connect the dots that this monkey wasn't just a really big fan of the YMCA for some reason. This dude was working a mountain attack that was going to leave him up in smoke like Planet Vegeta. Absolutely livid that this lowly creature was still attempting to fight back in his final moments, Frieza points his finger at Goku to deliver one final death beam to secure the end of the fight. Before this can happen though, Piccolo plants his paper bag 11s into the side of Frieza's dome piece and he goes flying halfway across what's left of Namek. Piccolo tells Goku that he put every bit of energy he had left into that attack, so Goku needs to finish a spirit bomb yesterday before Frieza comes back, cause dude is gonna be rightfully pissed off and he has nothing left in the tank to hold him off. Piccolo watches as Frieza emerges into the air from the mountain he just got kicked into and starts pressing Goku like crazy to throw that spirit bomb right now or he's gonna find a way to do it for him. Before Frieza can enact his wrath, he is attacked yet again, this time by Gohan and Krillin, who put every bit of the remaining ki they had left in a blast just to try to hold off Frieza for a few more moments in the hope that the attack would be prepared. By this point, Frieza is now completely done with everything and everyone. The tyrant lifts his index finger in preparation for nuking the entire planet, but it is right at this moment that Goku finishes the Genki Dama, and at the cries of Piccolo and all of his friends, Son puts everything he has into directing the massive ball of energy directly on top of Frieza's head. I love this part so much. It feels like you can feel the weight of the spirit bomb as it makes a slow descent to Namek's surface. The shots of the Dama from outer space do a lot to sell just how massive of an attack this is, and really helps the viewer understand that this is no ordinary blast. That technique Goku fired off carries with it the life force of every piece of life on Namek and even outside of it, and really helps sell the idea that the galaxy decided that Frieza's time was up and it was time for him to pay the troll's toll.
Did you bring the toll? Confound your lousy toll, troll!
Frieza peeps the blast and as it collides with his body, does everything he can to resist it. I really like this moment not only for the spectacle, but for what it represents karmically as well. All of Frieza's arrogance has finally led him to this moment. His underestimation of his opponent, his lack of discipline, and unwillingness to learn to read energy, the ill will he built up from all the living creatures on every planet he touched down on. All of it led him to this moment where he has finally come face to face with all of his sins and there's no escape. The Genki Dama finally touches the surface, with Frieza in it, and a massive explosion can be seen from outer space and devastates the land. A brilliant flash of light escapes the blast and moments pass. Eventually, we see that Gohan survived the impact and he goes to help an exhausted Krillin out of the water. As the two catch their breath, Gohan worries that Goku and Piccolo may not have made it out of the blast alive. Krillin tells Gohan that the two of them are too tough to die and that they should continue looking around. Eventually, Krillin and Gohan see Piccolo wash up on the shore with a completely drained Goku in hand. Moving as fast as they can with the limited energy they have left, the two greet Piccolo and Goku in one of my favorite moments in the arc. Without sharing words, we see our heroes excitedly cheer and congratulate one another as a slouched over Goku manages to muster a simple thumbs up in approval of their hard-won battle. In the manga, Toriyama does such a great job of conveying emotion and energy through the page, with absolutely zero dialogue needing to be uttered. Using only a few panel layouts, we as the viewer are completely in tune with the emotions of the surviving fighters, and I can only compliment the mastery it takes over the medium to convey such a feeling without dialogue so flawlessly. Goku states that they can take his ship and be back home within 5 days. Krillin lets out a shout, finally remembering that they left Bulma hanging all this time. Goku jokes that Krillin shouldn't yell like that, and he almost thought he saw Frieza again with that screech he just let out. Krillin reminds Goku that Bulma is low-key scarier than Frieza when she's in the right mood. Piccolo remarks that the planet Namek has seen great devastation, but with Frieza being taken down, he hopes the Great Elder can now lie in peace. Krillin does a double take as like, hold up, how do you even know about the Great Elder? But before he can finish that thought, he sees a ghost from the recent past that left him absolutely speechless. Looking up to see what has Krillin so shook, Goku and company wake up from their short-lived celebration to see Frieza-sama injured, but alive. And before they can even conceive of how to respond, Frieza shoots a death beam that pierces Piccolo directly through the chest, causing him to collapse solidly to the ground below directly in front of his friends. Frieza informs the remaining Z warriors that he was not a big fan of that last attack, and that even he thought he might be dead for a moment. In absolute panic, Goku demands that Krillin and Gohan take his ship, find Bulma, and leave the planet immediately. Krillin tells Goku that there's no way they can leave him alone and that staying here alone with Frieza is like giving your life away. A desperate Goku at the edge of his patience yells at Krillin, telling him that if they stay, they'll only be in the way. Frieza laughs at the interaction, telling Goku that he's a fool beyond compare if he thinks he's about to let any of them off this planet alive. Frieza then proceeds to lift Krillin into the air. Goku pleads for Frieza to let him down, but all Frieza does is smile coldly as he balls his hands into a fist and ends Krillin's life in a violent explosion. Gohan and Goku watch the spectacle in pure horror as their longtime friend and comrade had his life stolen from him in seconds like he was less than an insect inching across the dirt. Frieza laughs at their despair, telling Goku that it looks like Gohan's turn is next. Then, something within Goku changes. Never in his life has Goku felt like such a failure, overcoming every limit of strength that stood in front of him and using every last ounce of that strength to put an end to Frieza's evil. None of it was enough. And now he stands here and is forced to watch the people he cares about the most lose their lives in front of him, completely unable to do a thing to protect them. And a piece of Goku snaps. Goku grows eerily quiet. The sky of Namek starts to darken and light begins to erupt from the skies as if the heavens themselves are in fear about what's to come. We see the cheerful and optimistic Goku hunched over in a solemn depression and rage as his muscles twitch and nearly every vein in his body becomes visible. After a blinding flash, Goku becomes visible once again, but this time he's different. Not only is his once charcoal colored hair now a bright shade of yellow, but his very nature seems different. Gohan is the merciful and carefree warrior Frieza was so gleefully demolishing earlier. In its place stands the warrior formed out of tragedy and hellish anger. What stands before Frieza now is Son Goku, the Super Saiyan. And here, my friends, is where we'll call it for today. Look, do I even need to say anything about this episode? Anime and manga history right here, pure and simple. Join me next time as a transformed Goku works to pay back Frieza for each and every sin he committed tenfold, as the battle on Namek reaches a new peak, and two warriors beyond compare mercilessly duke it out to see who reigns supreme once and for all. Last time on Dragon Ball Z, despite his best efforts, even Son Goku with his immense power increase was no match for the galactic tyrant Frieza. Desperate and with one last ace in the hole, Goku brutally endured Frieza's attacks while he readied the ultimate technique he learned from Kaio-sama, the Spirit Bomb. In the final hour and with support from his friends, Goku launched the Genki Dama at Frieza and landed a direct hit. As the warriors gathered together to celebrate their hard-fought victory, this reunion was short-lived after a horrified Krillin looked up at the horizon and saw none other than Frieza, injured, but very much alive. The terror landed a fatal blow on Piccolo, but Krillin was not so lucky. Frieza, basking in the desperate pleas of Goku, cruelly launched Krillin in the air and ended his life right in front of his lifelong friend. Goku, now at his lowest point in his life and the tragic end of his best friend still fresh in his mind, reaches his breaking point, allowing him to overcome the limit of his strength and transform into the warrior of legend that Vegeta so often pined about, the Super Saiyan. After witnessing Goku's transformation, both Gohan and Frieza are staring at the man mouth wide open like that surprise Patrick meme. Goku breaks the silence, demanding that Gohan take Piccolo, who he senses is still just barely alive, and use his ship to return to Earth while he handles business. Gohan protests, telling his dad that he won't leave him alone to fight Frieza. Goku grows visibly frustrated with Gohan, telling him that he better grab that green man and take a hike while he still has some sanity left, because he's just as liable to put him on a milk carton as Frieza at this point with the way his emotions are out of control. Goku tells his son that he will find a way back home. A terrified Gohan asks him how, and Goku ends up summoning his inner Sam Jackson and is like, say what again? I I triple dog dare you. Sensing that he was seconds away from an everybody hates Chris level ass whooping, he decides that right now it would be best to mind his father and begins floating away with Piccolo as ordered. Frieza peeps all of this and sees Gohan trying to make a getaway with the last remaining Namekian and decides that he wants to go for a clean sweep and takes his aim at them as they try to make their way to Goku's ship. In a flash, Frieza's view is blocked by Goku, who completely suns this man, grabbing his hand and moving it aside like it's a wrestling promo before Frieza backs away for some distance. Before Frieza's able to even finish wondering where this power came from, Goku is already completely stanced up and declares to every remaining living thing on Namek that Frieza's cooked before immediately dashing towards him, booming him with the most disrespectful hook to the face Frieza has ever taken in his life, and double axe handling this man into the dirt for the finishing touch. Hitting his best Luffy impersonation, Frieza emerges from the rubble looking as though he's seen better days if I'ma keep it a buck, and tells Goku for all the heat he's been spitting, Saiyans weren't exactly the most moral people either, and if he's really gonna sit there and try to dog him for all the stuff that he's done. Goku explains that the Saiyans have already paid the price for their wrongdoing, and now it's Frieza's turn to make a donation. Frieza tells Goku he couldn't take him out no matter what kind of garbage transformation he goes through, and hits a classic we haven't seen in a minute, the continuous energy wave volley. This right here is exactly why we know this fight is not about to go this man's way. The minute you hit this move, your chances of taking an L go up at least 70%, and Frieza's no exception. As we come to expect, Goku emerges from the volley unscathed, then puts a single hand up and knocks Frieza below him with only the force of his ki, then shoots Buddy a little smile like, yeah, you like that one, huh? Goku then goes back on the offensive, doing his best Meta World Peace impersonation and elbowing Frieza in the face. Then for the most random attack of all, pays Frieza back by headbutting dude square in his spinal column. At this point, Frieza is getting so pissed and throws everything he can just to land a single hit on this man. Sensing Frieza's frustration, Goku decides he's in the mood to add a little extra fuel to the fire. This dude then stops dodging and stands still and tells Frieza to hit him. Y'all don't even understand how funny disrespect mode Goku is to me. When dude starts feeling himself, you truly never know what kind of nonsense he's gonna pull up on his opponent with. Whether it's putting his dirty ass Tim straight on your dome piece like he did with Nappa, leaving you and your thing tooted up in the air like he did with Raccoon, or playing with his food and talking crazy trash the whole time like with this man Frieza, you just never know what this dude is gonna be cooking when he gets in that mode, and I'm here for it all day, every day. At this point, Frieza is damn near frothing at the mouth with anger, but takes this monkey up on his offer and shoots a beam right between Kakarot's eyes. The hit lands and Goku gets on his Jason Voorhees timing, cranking his head back into position mad slow, only to look Frieza directly in his eyes to say, wow, the all-powerful galactic emperor who can take out whole planet with his fingertips is having trouble with a single lowly Saiyan monkey. At this point, all Frieza can do is look at Goku and ask him what the hell is he, because he is completely different from any Saiyan monkey he's come across. And this is when Goku reads off his resume with his whole chest, letting him know that he is a pure-hearted warrior of legend, Son Goku the Super Saiyan, and he's here to collect the check that Frieza's ass couldn't cash. Frieza then has a full-blown internal and external meltdown, with his brain literally unable to grasp the concept of him taking an L. As Frieza tries to come to grips with his current reality, Goku is standing in front of him waiting to erase it. Goku bluntly tells Frieza that this fight is over and prepares a Kamehameha to wrap this thing up and return to his friends. Frieza, unable to accept defeat, pulls a classic that I'm sure you're all familiar with. Y'all ever play a game with a little kid, you start beating them, and then instead of just holding the L, they throw all the cards on the floor and flip the whole damn table? Well, that's exactly what Frieza did here. Sensing that his karmic fade was approaching, the man decides that if I can't defeat the dude directly, then I'll win by technicality, and shoots a ball of energy directly at Namek's core. Everyone thought it was a wrap, including King Kai, who was watching on pay-per-view. But after the smoke cleared, the planet was unstable, but still intact, leaving Goku and the remaining Z homies one last chance to escape before things go totally sideways. Realizing that the planet hadn't instantly been demolished, Frieza curses at himself for holding back too much on his table flip gambit. Frieza then decides that since they have about 5 minutes left to play together, he'll bite the bullet and show Goku his full power so they can have a definitive end to their little back and forth. Frieza musters up a burst of energy and sends Goku flying across the planet in an effort to buy time. Despite it being in only a short while that he was gone, the plan seems to have worked, as Frieza states that he's now ready to show Goku what he can do at 100% and starts to transform. Goku peeps this and knows for a fact that the most intelligent thing he could do right now would be to clap Frieza while he's continuing to gather the remaining energy he needs for the transformation. But something inside won't let him end things this way, so instead, he watches in pure-hearted curiosity and excitement as his hated adversary prepares to go sicko mode on him so they can get this rumble on planet Namek concluded once and for all. King Kai peeps Goku admiring the scenery while Frieza is key charging and rings his pupil up for a quick zoom session. At first, Goku blatantly ignores him, but King Kai is nothing if not persistent, and Goku eventually acknowledges Master's presence and says what's up. King Kai starts the conversation off calm and is like, so I couldn't help but notice, young blood, that you're just standing there watching the enemy of the universe gather his energy when you are fully capable of ending the fight right at this exact moment. And I was hoping you might be able to tell me why. Goku replies simply, stating that he doesn't exactly know what it is, but he got that dog in him, and the idea of fighting the strongest known entity in the universe at his max capacity really powders his donut. King Kai does his best to remain respectful, but he can't hold back any longer and asks Goku if he has finally lost his ever-loving monkey mind. King Kai reminds Goku how he watched his friends and family get served up something crazy by this man Frieza, and if he is allowed to continue unchecked, there's not a single planet out here that's safe from a colon cleansing. Goku tells King Kai that he understands the stakes, but reminds him that he is objectively built different. Goku promises that he's gonna soul steal Frieza and pour one out for his homie Krillin right after. So just go play Uno with Bubbles in the C team while Papa puts another notch on his belt. Kyle-sama realizes that trying to talk to Son right now is bad for his health, so he deads the connection and starts talking to Kami and lets him know that he has one last big brain play to try with the Dragon Balls. King Kai tells Kami to immediately wish for all those murked by Frieza to come back to life, and if everything goes correctly, this will bring back the Namekians, including the Great Elder, even if it is just for a short time, since his life was shortened from its normal span due to the arrival of Frieza. This would allow them to use their final Namekian wish to transport everyone else remaining on Namek off the planet and away from Frieza so he can eat the planet explosion by his lonely. After Kami tells King Kai this is why they pay him the big bucks, we return to Goku, who was eating a stomach-churning gut shot by Frieza and getting pieced up something nice following that man's 100% full power transformation. One thing that gets me so hype about this fight in this section in particular is how visceral the hits feel. Bruh, every punch these two land sounds like a Civil War era cannon being fired off. Every hit just feels so brutal and like these two genuinely hate each other.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Two moments I gotta point out. One is a legendary pimp hand moment from Goku in this fight. While they're scrapping, man's like Goku jumps in the air and delivers an elbow from the top rope directly on Frieza's medulla oblongata. Then while this man's trying to recalibrate, Goku takes his hand and starts open palm slapping this man repeatedly. Whole time King Kai's on the phone gassing him up and having the time of his life. Another particular favorite of mine is where Goku grabs both of Frieza's arms and delivers a nasty headbutt the dude with the back of his cranium, then goes for a replay of what he did earlier before the spirit bomb and chucks the man in the air on some Super Mario 64 timing yet again. I promise you, this man Goku want to be an Italian plumber so bad. The throw had a purpose though, because with the newly gained distance he has, Goku begins charging a Kamehameha wave, while Frieza launches himself directly downward at him in his best Clark Kent impression, trying to hit Stick Buddy in the Namek's erupting magma. While Frieza is on Namek wishing for a W, Popo's on Earth making his wish as well, summoning the dragon and requesting that it bring back all those lost in Frieza's tirade on Namek. We cut back to Namek to see the Namekians emerging from what's left of their homes, and one part disbelief that they're alive again, and another part wondering if they got brought back just to die again after peeping the earthquakes and the storms that are currently raging on the planet. We then return to Goku and Frieza in the middle of their heated clash. The two sides collide, each giving their all, but eventually Frieza manages to brute force his way out of Goku's blast and hits him with a nasty hit that leaves Goku submerged and MIA. This section is actually kind of controversial amongst fans, because some believe that Goku actually died here and was revived by the wish from the Dragon Balls, giving him a Zenkai boost that lets him level the playing field against Frieza. Others believe that Goku was fine the entire time and just took a while to recover from the attack before returning to the fight. Y'all let me know what you think, because I'm actually not 100% sure when it comes to this part. Continuing on though, Goku reveals that he has been listening in on Kyle-sama's plan this entire time and tells him to adjust a wish, leaving only Frieza and him on Namek, and that if he does not listen to this request, he will never forgive him. Deeply concerned and saddened by Goku's choice, King Kai listens and delivers the message to the Elder, who then delivers the message to Dende to transport the remaining Z homies, as well as all those previously taken out by Frieza, back to Earth, with the exception of Goku. With nothing left between them but space and opportunity, Goku and Frieza head into the final stretch of their death match. The two trade blows back and forth, but at this point, it's clear who has the upper hand. With every attack that lands, Goku's dominance becomes clearer, until eventually Goku himself stops and tells Frieza that he quits the fight. Frieza is in utter shock and doesn't understand. Goku boldly tells Frieza that it's clear now that he's superior. Goku remarks that with each hit he lands, he can sense Frieza's ki growing weaker and weaker. Goku tells Frieza that his pride has already been shattered and the match is pointless now. He also tells the alien menace that he better never see his face again, unless Frieza wants to get served up that Saiyan 2-piece special again, so he better mind his manners. Frieza can barely even open his mouth. Dude, in all of his years, has never been this disrespected in his life, let alone from a race of people he barely even considers worthy of life. With all the remaining energy he has left, Frieza launches his final offensive, a series of death slicers aimed at Goku that will track him forever until they land. Goku is livid that Frieza did not take the out that he gave him. He powers back up to Super Saiyan and begins artfully dodging Frieza's attacks. Frieza is aware that Goku is likely to turn the attack on him, but even armed with this knowledge, he's unable to stop what's to come. Goku once again takes advantage of Frieza's lack of emotional control and ability to read ki by shooting a ki blast on the ground that blinds Frieza, leaving him open. Goku then drops an elbow on the top of Frieza's head, and while Frieza's on the ground, Goku warns him to look out, but Frieza registers things too late and is butchered by his own move. I know that this is light work compared to a lot of other series, but the way Frieza gets taken out here is actually low-key super brutal and still surprises me to this day sometimes when I see it. After all this time, it appears that the battle on Namek has finally been won. Goku remarks on Frieza's pathetic end, telling him that even he deserves better than what he's become, but it's due to his own ego that he ended up like this. As Goku prepares to make his way to his ship, he hears a faint voice calling out behind him, a voice pleading for help. Goku stops dead in his tracks and confirms that his ears weren't deceiving him, and that it was in fact the evil tyrant Frieza pleading for help in his last moments. Goku tries momentarily, but is unable to contain his rage, asking Frieza what right he has to ask for help after all the crimes he's committed. But Goku, unable to escape the reality of who he is, finds it in his heart to provide Frieza with a small bit of his own energy, enough for him to fly away from the planet to escape, and after doing this, turns his back and says goodbye. Back on Earth, we see the Guru spending his final moments letting his fellow Namekians know how they have returned to life. One of the Namekians points out that there's an entire village missing, and the newly revived Vegeta makes a point of letting them know that their absence must be due to him being the one that took the village out, and that they didn't get revived because he's not one of Frieza's men. Dude was so proud of himself for this too. I promise you, I wanted nothing more than to see the entire population of Namek and Piccolo run over to Buddy with the forehead and start stomping him out like what used to happen to dudes backstage in the Attitude Era. The Namekians take the high road though, and Elder Guru appoints Mori as the new elder before his passing, making him the new keeper of the Dragon Balls and tasking him with finding a new planet for the rest of their people where they can live in peace. Before the scene cuts away, Gohan tells Piccolo that the reason his pops isn't there is because he decided to stay on Namek so he could box up Frieza one last time. Piccolo was in the process of calling Goku everything but a son of God, but Gohan tells him to relax, and while Piccolo was almost taking a dirt nap, Goku reached a new peak and became a Super Saiyan. Vegeta heard this all the way across the room, and the look on his face was priceless. I know his little tummy was hurting thinking about how he got surpassed by Kakarot while he was 6 feet under after Frieza took him to Red Lobster. While the Namekians were on Earth thinking of how they can find their peace, we return to Frieza, who is now resting in pieces. Frieza is in absolute disbelief that this Saiyan of all people, the same man he had terrorized since the moment he met him, whose friends he had taken the lives of, was giving him some of his own energy in order to escape the planet. The complete and utter foolishness of doing something like this leaves Frieza with no choice but to talk his crap, letting this monkey know that he's a dummy beyond belief for what he did just now. Frieza will survive while he explodes on the planet and perishes despite his victory in combat. Goku looks at Frieza directly in the eyes and matter-of-factly tells him that he will not die here and makes his way to Frieza's ship to escape. Frieza has now truly lost, both mentally and physically, but his lack of character and maturity will not allow him to take this loss graciously and move on. Instead, he uses the last of the energy he received to fire off one last beam directly at Goku's back. Goku senses the attack, and with a mix of sadness and rage at what must be done, calls Frieza a fool and shoots a beam that wipes Frieza off the map one last time. Goku gives one last solemn look at the ground where Frieza once stood before making his way over to his ship, praying that he still has enough time to make it out. Goku gets to the ship and is thankful to find that it's fairly similar to his own. A panicked Goku frantically searches for something, anything that will get the ship to move, but he's completely out of luck. And to make a bad day worse, the ground under the ship goes out and the entire thing falls into the unstable core of the soon-to-be extinct planet Namek. We see one last frame of Goku crying out in agony as his final means of escape was destroyed right before his eyes, and in the next moment, we see the planet Namek erupt, appearing to take the Earth's greatest savior along with it. Kaiosama watches the whole thing and informs the C-Team that Goku won the fight, but lost the war and perished along with planet Namek. Yamcha asks if he can be the one to relay the news to everyone and rings up Bulma for the first time in God knows how long so she can deliver the news to Gohan and the rest of Sun's family. First, he lets them know that Frieza's dead, leaving the most heartbreaking part for the second piece. Bulma, in all of her tact, blurts out immediately that Goku got smoked in the planet's explosion, leaving everyone in disbelief, grieving. Due to there being no planet Namek to wish Krillin and Goku back to, the Z-homies feel like all hope is lost to bring back their remaining friends. But an unexpected ally speaks up in the form of Vegeta, who recommends they bring their souls back to life on Earth first, followed by their bodies so they can return to life without fear of an immediate end. A surprised but grateful Gohan goes up to Vegeta to thank him, but the prince is quick to let Kakarot's offspring know that he not do this out of any form of sentimentality. He just wants to see this legendary Super Saiyan transformation for himself, so he can get to work on surpassing it. Over the course of a few months, the new Elder Mori allows Bulma and the crew to use the Dragon Balls to make their wishes as a show of thanks, bringing back Chiaotzu and Yamcha, and then Krillin, and finally their boy Goku. Krillin is brought back right before Goku, much to the fanfare of all his friends, but something strange happens when they attempt to bring Goku back. When they ask to bring Sun back to life, the dragon informs them that he cannot bring back to life an individual who is still alive. This is the first bombshell. So instead, assuming that Sun is stuck somewhere and unable to return home, they wish for him to be brought back to Earth. Following this wish, the dragon informs them that Goku has refused this request and has stated that he will return home when ready. Another shock at this, all his friends and family can do now is wait for Goku's arrival. But in the year that passes waiting for Sun's arrival, the peace that has overcome the Earth has been abruptly interrupted by a tremendous evil key that the Z-homies are now all too familiar with. And here, homies, marks the end of the legendary Frieza saga and the beginning of a brand new age of both triumphs and losses for our heroes. Hard to believe that the Frieza saga is over, gang. I cannot tell you all how much fun I had revisiting this saga with you. These weekend premieres bring me back to my childhood of waiting for the new weekly releases to show on the air, and having so many people to chop it up with, laugh, and just share our love for the series is a genuine blessing. Appreciate all of you, and stay tuned for next time as a familiar threat approaches the horizon that gets met with an unfamiliar ally. Be easy, y'all, and I'll talk to you in the next video.